more day. One more day until we have real football. Last time we had football was February, if we're not counting the preseason here. So I'm going to be excited to go through and talk about this upcoming season. Let's hop into some updated high stakes real money fantasy football drafts. It's a $250 buy-in here, and usually in the high stakes leagues on Underdog, there are a lot of names that we recognize. There are a lot of regulars in the high stakes drafts, but this may be an exciting one. I mean, here I do not recognize a lot of the names that we're used to. But of course, before we dive into this, go down there, drop a like if you have not done so already. Subscribe to the channel if you're watching this as a video later on. And if you want to actually come out to these streams when we're live, we live stream every single night. We'll be live every single day for the next 200. Make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. But CMC goes at 1. That's pretty much what every high stakes drafter does. I'm going Jonathan Taylor, especially in a half PPR format. I'm not really thinking twice about it. Like, let's see if we get JT making it down to us at 3. Maybe this is a cup build instead. Remedy goes Jonathan Taylor, so we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Cooper Kupp. Yeah, over the past few weeks, we have had Justin Jefferson over Cooper Kupp in our rankings, but that was right after we had the Matthew Stafford elbow injury report, and honestly, I'm a little bit less worried about it now than what I once was, so I am going to be willing to move Cooper Kupp back up to our number 1 overall wide receiver spot. Like, let me pull this up. I understand, guys. Trust me. I had Jefferson ranked as our wide receiver 1 for a while. I know why people would go Jefferson over Kupp, but at the end of the day, Cooper Kupp, 145 receptions, 1,900 receiving yards, and 16 receiving touchdowns last year. Led the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. Not like he's super old. Still in the same offense. I'll be fine coming out here and taking him as the wide receiver 1, of course. But after this, we have Jefferson, Chase, Eckler, Derrick Henry. So not too much to look at. And of course, if you don't know what we're doing, you've been living under a rock. If you are not signed up for Underdog Fantasy yet, fix your life. We're drafting on Underdog Fantasy. They have best ball drafts, so that means there's no time commitment at all during the season. You don't submit your starting lineup, no waiver wire. So it's the perfect place to get in an extra fantasy football draft. You're not replacing your main league with Underdog Fantasy. You're getting into an extra draft, and then you can focus in on your main league during the season. And when you go and sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. So it's essentially free for you to try out. And you get our 2022 rankings and our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, which will help you even if you've already had your draft. And of course, they have pick'ems on Underdog as well. I mean, we can look at these. They have a lot for Thursday. They have a lot for Sunday, yada, yada, yada. Here we are drafting. We're not looking at these pick'ems though. So now let's get back to this. And we have after Kupp, I mean, the wide receiver is falling a decent amount here. Maybe this is a draft where we don't see a lot of experience badges. As I said, it looked like maybe this is a different crowd than what we're used to, just with every high stakes draft having the same people, it seems like. So maybe we don't have to push up wide receivers as early as what we did like in the live stream last night, like where we go CeeDee Lamb at 13. Okay, let me go through. And we have a ton of people out here in this live chat right now. Thank you so much for everybody coming out and hanging out with us, of course. We have Mark out here, a new mod to the channel. We got Jalopy Sausage, Miguel, Fantasy Football Dog Pound, John, Jared, Gaming. Thank you, everybody, for being out here. Okay. Now we have Saquon Barkley at the board at 13. Very rarely on Underdog are you getting this kind of value on Stephon Diggs. Really surprising to see Diggs there. And Najee Harris at 11. The Najee team decides to go ahead and take Deebo Samuel. I mean, in this tournament, there are not going to be many teams at all with the combination of Najee Harris and Deebo Samuel. And I have not looked at too many of the player props on Underdog yet. I will say we did go ahead and place an over at the end of the live stream last night just because I wanted to root for our guy Trey Lance. We had a little parlay where we took a Lance over and took Deebo Samuel's total on Underdog was like 50.5 receiving yards. We took the over on 50.5 receiving yards for Deebo week 1. So, man, we're going to be Deebo Samuel fans week 1. I think on the large part, he probably does disappoint fantasy football drafters because he's not going to score 8 touchdowns again, as we've discussed so many times before. Okay. Yeah, Jonathan says, hey, Mason, thoughts on J.K. Dobbins? Love J.K. Dobbins and his upside that he has rest of season. Specifically for week 1, however, can't start him. Like, trust me, I've drafted a lot of 6th round J.K. Dobbins. I've drafted a lot of 5th round J.K. Dobbins as well. Obviously, he goes back down in the 6th now. I'm excited and I'm rooting for his upside later on in the year, but week 1, before we actually see him back from the injury, until we actually see the workload there, I don't think we can start him. Okay. DeAndre Swift falling to 19. CeeDee Lamb. What was the report on Lamb today? Not an injury report. Okay, so this is a team that took Chase. The other team took Jefferson. Yeah, so Lamb goes 20. I was going to say, for the love of God, if we're starting out Cooper Kupp and CeeDee Lamb on underdog, RIP to the rest of the league. Let's see what this team decides to do. This team went Jefferson in the 1st round. They go Javonte. Let's take Tyreek, expecting that we could get one of these tight ends on the way back around. Pick 27. And I also think if you look at how the ADPs line up, there are going to be more Cooper Kupp, Mark Andrews teams. Yeah, so let's go Tyreek Hill, 22. And we'll see what we end up with on the way back around. I wouldn't mind Nick Chubb either. Now, Evans goes 23. I think this guarantees us that we are getting one of these tight ends here. This team took Christian McCaffrey 1 overall. Yeah, the ADP on CMC now is 1.7, and you have Jonathan Taylor 1.6. So they are truly a coin flip, whoever's going to end up going off the board at 1. But Johnny coming out says, 10-team PPR home league, just traded Debo for Leonard Fournette. Did I make a mistake? No, in a 10-team home league, I agree. You want to go through, get the running back production. I mean, right now you're saying you already have a wide receiver. I mean, T. Higgins and Michael Pittman. Good trade, good trade. Now, DJ Moore is going 24. Mark Andrews, 25. Remedy on the clock. This is a team that's gotten Jonathan Taylor and Mike Evans through the first 2 rounds. Jerry says, damn, Pitts reached Andrews' ADP. Yeah, I mean, we were going through talking about Kyle Pitts being the best 3rd round value on underdog. Like, we've been out here saying that Kyle Pitts can outscore the round 3 wide receivers, and you get him at tight end. We've said he can outscore Pittman. We said he can outscore Mike Williams. We were made fun of it. I understand maybe we were deserving to be made fun of it, but still. Oh my gosh, what? Zeke goes 29 here. I know this team maybe wants to go through and build around the Dallas Cowboys once they get Lamb fall into them 20, but you can get Zeke at 44. Oh my gosh. Very surprising to see that. T. Higgins goes 30. Yeah, Chubb going to Wise Boy here at Pick 7, who goes Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb through the first 3 rounds. Dear God. I mean, this is why I'm drafting Nick Chubb this year. Derek says joining another big dog. Possibly, my friend. I mean, yeah, I don't know if we're going to live stream before the game tomorrow. We'll definitely go live after the game for y'all. I don't know if we're going to go live before. Maybe we do, but no, I don't know. So, I would say probably. If I'm going to be honest with myself, we're probably getting in another big dog draft here. But we have James Conner, 33. That's very rare for underdog. I mean, in a high-stakes draft last night, I think we got James Conner at like 42. Tony says Jerry Jones loves Zeke. Jerry Jones may love Zeke, but I don't necessarily know if that means he's going to be able to give him some mystical powers to be an efficient running back on the field this year. I don't know if Jerry Jones loving Ezekiel Elliott is all of a sudden going to make Ezekiel Elliott be in the similar range of Tony Pollard in terms of efficiency. Okay, now we have Josh Allen making it to 36 to the Stephon Diggs team. Oh, that is an exciting build. I mean, I think if you would have gone Mixon there instead of Barkley, I guess Barkley goes ahead of Mixon sometimes. It would have been a team that very few drafters were able to have. Let me know what y'all think of Devontae Adams over Diggs. Like, maybe if you were still concerned about Darren Waller, like missing practice, maybe if you were still concerned about Darren Waller, maybe being out of Las Vegas, at least plans at the beginning part of the season. I don't know. If Waller was missing time, I agree you go Adams over Diggs. But with Waller there, with Renfro there, I feel like it's very difficult to be taking Adams, a wide receiver with a worse quarterback, and in my opinion, more target competition. Now, Rigor Mortis has traded Leonard Fournette for Saquon Barkley. Great deal. And you also have Jonathan Taylor. Love it. And Constantine says, rate my trade. I get Kyler Murray for Kareem Hunt and Darnell Mooney. If it's a shallow redraft league where you think you have more than enough a running back and wide receiver depth, yes, we go ahead and make the deal. Obviously, shallow redraft leagues, you do have to be making adjustments. But, oh my gosh, Dameon Pierce, 39. This is a $250 fantasy football draft. We have Ezekiel Elliott, 29, and Dameon Pierce, 39 here. Travis Etienne goes 40. This looks completely different than the usual high stakes drafts on Underdog. That's what we said. We got into this room. I was like, okay, usually if you join one of these high stakes drafts on Underdog, you recognize about 4 or 5 names in every single draft room. But I don't really recognize anybody here. So thought there would be a chance that we saw some craziness, and we are getting that craziness here. Oh my gosh. Lamar goes 42 as well. Look at this. Oh my, I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, Weird Frank's gone. Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, T. Higgins through the first 3 rounds. Goes Jalen Waddle, 43. If I would have got Jalen Waddle, I would have done a backflip. If we had Jalen Waddle fall to us at 46, we were going crazy. Allen Robinson, 44. Come on. Give him to us. Give him to us. What is this team doing? Come on. You have Javonte Williams, Justin Jefferson, Michael Pittman. They go Hollywood Brown. Never mind. I thought that we were going to go ahead. I thought we were going to take Hollywood Brown and then honestly maybe reach on Kyler Murray here, pick 51. That way we could get the double stack with Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins, because Hopkins we could almost guarantee at pick 70 or 75. But now now that Hollywood's off the board, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jerry Jeudy. Yes, I am drafting Jerry Jeudy over Juju Smith-Schuster. And Nick coming out says, Akers or Adam Thielen in a double flex league. If we're talking about who we start this week, I start Adam Thielen over Cam Akers week 1. I want to see what we have from Akers. Also not a great matchup. If we're talking about long-term upside, I actually probably prefer to go ahead and we're going to take Deontay. Long-term, I prefer the upside that we'll have with it, Cam Akers. Okay, and of course, Underdog Fantasy, you have to start 3 wide receivers, and it's best ball. So literally every single guy we've taken can be in our starting lineup at the same time. It's going to be a little bit different than your typical shallow redraft league. Like your typical shallow redraft league, I mean, hell, instead of going Tyreek Hill there, 22, go Nick Chubb. It's a little different. But Nate says, in a 10-team PPR keeper league, I have Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, Javonte Williams, Saquon Barkley, also a running back, Pittman, Bateman, Hollywood. This is fantastic. You're planning on putting a running back at the flex spot? Yeah, I'd imagine you plan on putting a running back at the flex spot when you have Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Javonte Williams, and Saquon Barkley. I think this is a great team. I think with this team, you have more than enough firepower to make sure that we actually have the truly elite level tight end. Like I would definitely be trying to make a package deal and package someone with Dalton Schultz and get Travis Kelce. Like you have the firepower to get that done in this league. Okay. Now we have Jalen Hurts going 57, DK, Kittle off the board as well. Okay, so let's go through and look at this. I want to monitor, what is the Dameon Pierce team doing? Yeah, what is the Damian Pierce team doing here? I feel like they may just end up going crazy. They go Elijah Mitchell. I got Elijah Mitchell in a $250 draft yesterday on Underdog. We were at pick 78. We were at like 78 or 77. So this is early on Elijah Mitchell now as well. Brandon says traded Etienne and Pollard for Elijah Moore. I'm sorry, Etienne, Pollard, and Elijah Moore for A.J. Brown and Mike Williams. I'm fine with it. Shallow redraft league. Like literally at this point of the year, because we know we're going to have waiver wire options that we want to be picking up at the beginning portion of the season. We are trying to just get the best player in the deal. Open up roster spots at the very bottom end of your roster. So I do like the team. I do like the trade. And Conlon says in a 10-team 3-flex PPR league, went 0 running back, ended up with Lamar, so the elite level QB. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chase Edmonds, pretty solid. I mean, running backs with upside. And a wide receiver, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill. We have the elite level tight end, Travis Kelce. I really like the team. We have Breece Hall, Damian Pierce, and Drake London on the bench for upside as well. I like it in a league where you have 3 flex spots. That's a league I'm fine going 0 RB. I think if you try to go through and go 0 RB in a league that starts 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, like you're toast. Like good luck. You're not going to be able to beat your league mates just because you have a ton of wide receiver depth. But in that format, if you have 3 flex spots, I like it. Now, Jose coming out says, traded Pitts for Diggs. Albert O is the backup. Yeah, I mean, I prefer Diggs over Kyle Pitts as well. Good deal. Now, we have Kyler Murray off the board here, 63. Let's see what this team does. This is the team that's gone. No, that was the team that went Damian Pierce, Elijah Mitchell. This team's gone with a total of 0 wide receivers through the first 5 rounds. I have no idea what to expect. They go Joe Burrow, 64. We may be able to build a super team here. I think we may get Brandon Cooks fell to 65. I'm not even a Brandon Cooks guy, but Brandon Cooks has an ADP of 51. Who did that team take in the 5th? I'm sorry, Brandon Cooks, I guess, has fallen a little bit in ADP, down to 52 now, but tomato tomato. Okay, what was the report on Edmonds? Edmonds limited in practice. Don't really care too much about that. Dobbins starts with limited practice, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Christian says, had a 10-team Dynasty Superflex startup recently. Lance Stafford, great. Malik Willis, even in Dynasty, I'm not a massive fan of. I would have been a massive fan if he went in round 1 of the NFL draft and we knew that he was going to have a path to being a starting quarterback in the NFL. At some point, 3rd round, we don't even know if he'll ever start outside of a Ryan Tannehill injury. Running back, Javonte Williams, Damian Harris, James Cook, like James Cook. Tyrion Davis-Price, a wide receiver. We have T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, Monroe St. Brown, Treylon Burks, Chris Olave, Michael Gallup. I really like it, my friend. We have a couple extra future first. Most importantly, we have Kyle Pitts in a dynasty format. Really hope that this is a tight end premium league as well. Great roster. Great roster. I mean, Lance is someone that I have pretty much across all my dynasty teams from last year. Y'all know how big I was on Lance in dynasty last season. I mean, we built our entire brand on telling people they were not the brightest in the world for taking Justin Fields over him, but Hurricane Warning coming out says, I have Kupp, Lamb, Godwin, Waddle, Thielen, and Lockett. What running backs should I be targeting for trades in a 12-team league? Chubb is my running back 1 right now. I mean, if you were to want to go through and make a deal, maybe we try to package together like Adam Thielen and whoever your running back 2 is and go get James Conner, go get Travis Etienne, assuming it's a full PPR format. Really hard to see without the other running backs that you have on the roster. Okay. So, yeah, we take Dobbins here 70. Like, this is literally why you go wide receivers early on Underdog, because the mid-round running back value is beautiful. Like, getting Dobbins here is just beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Let's move this over. Devonta Smith off the board here, 73. Okay, I have my plan. Remedy on the clock. Actually, I think we've been in drafts with the Remedy before. I think that is a name we recognize. Let's see what they decide to do. Are they auto drafting? I can't tell if they're on auto. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Trey Lance. I know, yes, we would get the stack if we had Jerry Jeudy, Russell Wilson. Yes, I know we want to be building in correlation with our team, but at the end of the day, I mean, with Trey Lance, we're not betting that he's going to come out here and lead the NFL in passing. I think Lance can be a top 3 quarterback in fantasy and not even necessarily turn George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, or Ayuk into a league winner. We're betting on the rushing upside with Trey Lance. We'll take him here at 75. And of course, thank you so much for everybody coming out and hanging out with us. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. If we hit 400 likes, we'll fire up a second draft after this. I think my voice, y'all can tell, is getting a little bit better than where we were a day ago. Please go down there, drop a like in the stream, subscribe to the channel, of course, if you enjoy it. I think this is all like, we've had to have you a live draft for over like 100 days in a row at this point. And we're going to go live every single day, probably the next like 150 days. What is 16 times 7? Not 150, I know that, never mind. I'll be live for the next 113, 14 days as well. Okay, so now we have Josh Jacobs making it to 83 here. I mean, Josh Jacobs, my most drafted running back on Underdog. I will admit, in a lot of these drafts, we weren't taking him at 83. We were taking him in the 6th. I will admit that. But we've also been taking him a lot in the 7th, and I think in the 7th round, Josh Jacobs is honestly an easy selection. We have Ramondre Stevenson off the board here, 84. Let's move this over. I know we've had so many people got mad at me for not ranking Amari Cooper inside the top 30 wide receivers this week. Guys, it is going to be ugly at the beginning part of the season for Amari Cooper. I'm still drafting Amari on Underdog because we're looking at him as a guy that has an elite level ceiling weeks 15, 16, 17. When Deshaun Watson's back. And obviously on Underdog, we need to be optimizing for the final stretch there. But in your casual redraft league, like, do not think you can start Amari Cooper this week. Please. Do not think you can start Amari. I promise you, there are definitely 30 better options. I mean, if we go through, I'm going to do this just 1 second. Of course, like we said, they have pick'ems on Underdog just to show you what the expectations are for some of these receivers here. Amari Cooper, these are his lines. Underdog Fantasy currently has the over-under on his fantasy points at 9.5. If you were that excited about Amari Cooper against Carolina, be my guest to go take the over, but I don't even know if I would. Now let's move this down. Treylon Burks, 87. Robert Woods, 88. So we have some Tennessee Titans fans out here right now. I mean, obviously, we have at wide receiver right now, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill. We have Kyle Pitts at tight end, but I would say he's kind of like a receiver. Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson as well. I mean, we're not dying to have wide receivers make it to us. If we have a running back that we like here at 94, we will take him. Yeah, like I said, guys, I think Amari Cooper does have a high ceiling for when Deshaun Watson plays in weeks 15, 16, 17. But when it's Brissett, if you were that confident, go over to Underdog. The line's at 9.5, okay? If you think he scores double-digit points, feel free to go take the over. I'm not saying it's a good bet or anything. I'm just saying, like, be realistic with the expectations early on. Okay, now Brady goes off the board here, 91. Rad Rocker has Zeke Montgomery at running back. I think they go Dak, right? I mean, they took Ezekiel Elliott to pick 29, ADP 42. They go Cordell Patterson. I figured this was a Dallas Cowboys fan. I thought we were going to see them go Dak Prescott here. Team K2 Theris, I don't know. Takes our guy. They take Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It is what it is. If we look at these running backs, I think a lot of these guys coming back around to us are going to be about the same. We're just going to take the falling value here with Chris Olave at pick 94. We'll get Olave at 94. I mean, we had a report coming out today saying the recovery process is looking good for Brian Robinson right now. I think maybe we bump down Gibson a bit. Like, if Gibson were to make it back to us, like, I don't think we shy away from it. Now, this team decides to go ahead and take Dak Prescott. Yeah, they had Dalton Schultz earlier on. That's what I figured. Gibson does go 96. Miles Sanders, 97. Sanders was the running back that we were actually going to look at 99 here. I thought that we were going to get Miles Sanders, and I'm more excited about him now that he's actually back at practice. And I have a lot of these other drafts where we've taken Miles Sanders like a month ago. I took Miles Sanders a decent amount in the 8th round. Here, getting him at the pick 97. He has an ADP like past pick 100 at this point. I think it's going to be fine. Let's go ahead. Let's take another running back that I think has high ceiling. Talking about the Cleveland Browns here. I mean, let's go and let's look at someone that I think can give us a lot of production weeks 15, 16, 17. I think they have a role in the receiving game and obviously upside if something were to occur to Nick Chubb. But let me go and real quick turn on the fan because I'm going to start sweating in about 30 seconds if that fan's not on. Okay, we are back. We are back. Now, Derek Carr off the board at 101 was the team that took Darren Waller. I guess if you really want to prioritize that, you got to take him here. And of course, guys, go down there and drop a like. Go down there, drop a like. If it's not for this live stream, at least retroactively do it for the 24-hour stream. Come on, what are we doing? Andrew says, drop Allen Lazard for Elijah Moore rest of season. I do prefer Elijah Moore over Allen Lazard. I'll say it sounds like you're playing in a very shallow format, though. And if you're playing in that shallow of a format, we're just taking whoever you think has the highest ceiling. Okay, but Hawkinson goes here, 103. I mean, if we're comparing these two values, Dallas Goedert, 82, Hawkinson, 103. For the love of God. I mean, go draft yourself some TJ Hawkinson. Toxic Mix says 10-team non-PPR. Okay, so completely shifting our mindset. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Cam Akers, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans. I actually really like someone like Mike Evans in a non-PPR format because in that non-PPR format, we're just incentivized to go and chase touchdowns. I'd say same thing with Cortland Sutton. And the bench, we have Dameon Pierce, Kenneth Walker, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashad Bateman, Alexander Madison, James Robinson. How am I looking? I like the team. I'd say in a non-PPR format in particular, if Amon-Ra St. Brown here is like your wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, I would definitely love to package him up with someone like Dameon Pierce to get a more appealing running back. Obviously, in a non-PPR format, the flex spot's going to go from being optimally a wide receiver in a PPR league to now we are going to prefer to go out there and jam that running back in. So let's try to trade Amon-Ra St. Brown and Dameon Pierce in a non-PPR format for a running back upgrade. Colin says, Christian Watson, a full participant, and Allen Lazard did not. Could Watson be a flex play this week, and should I drop Alexander Madison to pick him up? You know, literally, let me pull this up right now. Because Christian Watson has an ADP of like wide receiver 70 on Underdog. Wide receiver 70. And of course, on Underdog, I've drafted over 700 teams here this offseason. I can go see who I've invested the most into. Look at this name at the very top. I don't know if you could see it. Our highest invested into player with our buy-ins is Christian Watson. Now, I am a big Christian Watson believer. When you're getting about wide receiver 70 for the ceiling we have down the stretch, I think the hate's gone way too far. But at the same time, am I playing him week 1? Hell no. Like with a lot of these rookies, I know people were getting mad at how we ranked Breece Hall too low, or like with a lot of these players, let's just see it before we believe it, and then we can look to start him. I love the idea of rostering Christian Watson, but even if Allen Lazard doesn't play this week, we're not putting him in our starting lineup. We're not starting him. Okay. Now, Matthew Stafford off the board here, 110. Kirk Cousins, 111 as well. Okay. Let's swing this back around. I feel like this has just been such a weird draft. So far at quarterback, we have Lance. At tight end, we have Kyle Pitts. At running back, we have J.K. Dobbins, Kareem Hunt. At wide receiver, we have Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson, and Chris Olave. So Gallup goes off the board here, 112. Gallup is one of those other players right alongside Christian Watson, one of my most drafted guys. But you used to get Michael Gallup. Like literally, he would go behind Jalen Tolbert. Like the value you used to get on Michael Gallup a few weeks ago was crazy. Here, I honestly think that I probably prefer him over Rondale Moore. I probably prefer him over Chase Claypool. I definitely am not saying that this is a bad price on Gallup. I don't want to say that. Now, Chase Claypool goes 114. And after we make our pick here, we'll go through and we'll show the entire draft. Mark coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much, my man. Thank you. And of course, thank you so much for always coming out to every single premiere. Mark's like the first person, and every time we premiere a video, he's like the first one out there. Thank you, my dude. Rondale Moore going 115. Zach Ertz 116. Okay. Yeah, Rodgers off the board. We were going Melvin Gordon even if Rodgers fell. I mean, I think here with Melvin Gordon, very similar to Kareem Hunt. He's a running back that should see touches every single week. Or maybe he can get us by with, obviously, a running back room that's not looking good. We took our first running back, pick 70. And if something were to occur to Javonte Williams, he would have a much higher ceiling. I do like the Melvin Gordon pick here. Sky Dude says, Swift will be the running back 1 this season. Changed my mind. I think he has the profile of someone we're looking for. He can get every single high value touch out of his backfield, similar to Kamara, similar to Aaron Jones, every target and every touch in the red zone. But at the same time, how many points are the Detroit Lions putting up? How many points are the Lions putting up? Like, trust me, DeAndre Swift was one of my most drafted players last year. Like, if you go back, it was the most popular video on the channel for a while, but it was the highest stakes draft we had last year. We went hero running back. We took one running back through the first, 9 rounds, and we took DeAndre Swift in the 3rd. And everybody was just roasting me. Tell me how bad DeAndre Swift was, how he's going to be at a timeshare with Jamal Williams, yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm a Swift guy, but at the same time, he can't be running back 1. I think he's honestly appropriately priced this year. Trey says, Lenny and Marcus Valdez-Scantling for Chris Godwin and Travis Etienne in a 14-team league. In a 14-team league, I think we do need to prioritize depth. It's not as simple as just let's get the best piece in the deal. I think we go in a full PPR format, Chris Godwin and Travis Etienne. Okay. John Dodson off the board. Kind of want Kenneth Walker. The thing is with Walker, he falls so much further than this now. I honestly don't even know if I care. We're going to go ahead and take him. We're going to go Kenneth Walker here. I mean, we're not going to get any production at the beginning of the year. I don't even know when the man's going to play. And when he does play, the beginning portion of the season, we should assume that Rashad Penny is going to be the starting running back in Seattle. But at the same time, I mean, if we were looking at him, he's a running back that has the size to be a 3-down player. I don't know if he can catch passes. He didn't in college. But he has the size to be a 3-down player. And on top of this, he has an elite athletic profile. So let's go ahead. Let's take him 123 as our running back 4 because we are kind of chasing upside at this point. And I'm not a massive fan of Julio Jones here. I know some people think Julio Jones can be Rob Gronkowski this season. I'm a little hesitant to believe that. A little hesitant. Okay. Nick says, I'm hearing Kittle is hurt and may not play. Do you think Brandon Ayuk will ball out? If Kittle misses, it's definitely good for Ayuk. Now, I don't necessarily think that happens. I haven't really heard anything about that. Let me pull this up. Has a groin injury, suffered in Monday's practice. Kittle's not practicing today. Unclear right now if this will keep him out this week. Okay. Shanahan said, was hoping it'd be good by today. Did a little on Monday. We'll have to take it day by day. I don't know. I mean, I think it's just too early to say. Right now it's Wednesday. Ayuk will be very exciting if Kittle misses. I'll say that. Now, if Julio Jones 130. Shadi says, we doing 24 hours again? If y'all want 24 hours. Actually, no. You know what? We were going to do the 24-hour live stream again, but I just thought about it. There's the game tomorrow, guys. We can't do it with the game tomorrow. Okay. That's the only reason we're not. Okay, now we have Kenneth Gainwell here, 131. Cole Hardman off the board. What are we going to be looking at with our second QB? I mean, with our second quarterback, maybe we go Jameis, or we could go 2 super late guys. Like, we could go Watson and Mariota. That's what I've really liked doing lately in these underdog drafts. Is I've really liked getting one of these quarterbacks that we think can be the quarterback one overall, like Trey Lance with his rushing upside if things break right. And then instead of going and drafting a second quarterback, we will if one makes it to us at a value early on. Wait until the end of the draft and grab two guys, with one of them being Watson. Okay. Mitch has Pitts over Andrew. Okay, so let me know. Literally, I've been a Pitts guy all offseason. I have liked Pitts all offseason. But at the same time, you're taking this. A lot of people are doing this. A lot of people are going Pitts over Andrews now. Where is it coming from? Can someone please let me know what changed from a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, to now where people think that Pitts can outscore Mark Andrews? I haven't seen anything to change the situation. People saying, I think it's because the Lamar situation. Are people worried about Lamar not playing this year? Like, I like Pitts. It's just that a lot of people now are saying Pitts over Andrews. And I feel like we got to draw a line somewhere. And that's probably where we're drawing it. Okay, if we get one of the, yeah, we're going to take one of these running backs here. We're taking Rachaad White, Alexander Mattison. I literally think running back 45 is where we see the massive teardrop. After Alexander Mattison, I think that we are hitting this massive teardrop here. Honestly, I kind of prefer Madison. Yeah, I prefer Madison over Rachaad White. And I think we're done drafting running backs. I mean, we have J.K. Dobbins, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, Kenneth Walker, Alexander Madison. I think we have plenty of upside at the position. The question is, can we get enough production early on to make it to the fantasy football playoffs? Maybe we go with the sixth guy. Probably not. Now let's see what these teams do here. DJ Chark off the board. Remedy has two running backs with JT, Darrell Henderson. They can't take another quarterback. I don't think they can take another tight end. This team goes with Daniel Jones here, pick 144. That is a little interesting. You know what? We took Judy. Maybe we take Hamler here and make this an on-brand draft and bet against Sutton. Sutton flames out. Maybe we get the bump up with Judy and Hamler. But Remedy here has 6 receivers, 2 running backs. They go Jamal Williams. I think we reach on... I want to reach on... I don't even want to say this out loud on the live stream because I think we'll get sniped. I want to reach around on Christian Watson, but there are a couple things at play. I already showed y'all with Christian Watson. He is my most invested into player. Not necessarily the percentage of drafts, but from buy-ins, I have more buy-ins in Christian Watson at this point than anybody else. Because Watson at this point has an ADP in the 14th round. Now, I've drafted him a lot in the 13th as well. So I like the Watson value here, but at the same time, as we already said, we've drafted him everywhere already. And there's an outside chance that he makes it to us at the end of the 14th. And Jay Shack coming out, thank you, says, in a 12-team league, PPR, I have Chase at wide receiver 1, Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, Darren Waller. Wide receiver 2 in flex is where I'm going to be struggling between Godwin, Adam Thielen, Jalen Waddle, Elijah Moore, Hunter Renfrow. Who do you start at the flex and wide receiver 2? Thank you, of course. And here, Chris Godwin's another perfect example. Someone like Christian Watson. These are guys that we were drafting at discounts earlier on. I have them everywhere. I'm rooting for our guys. I love the upside later on. But can we just see it before we believe it? Can we see Chris Godwin out there healthy before we actually go and jam him into our starting lineup? Personally, I'm going to go ahead. I am going to wait. I think we play Chris Godwin after we see him actually out there and run 70% of the snaps for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even if it's a great matchup against Dallas, where we think this can be a very high-scoring contest where there are a ton of plays run. I think we probably go Waddle and Adam Thielen. I think we play it boring. I know Elijah Moore has a good matchup on paper, but at the end of the day, the quarterback situation in New York's just disgusting. Renfro's having to deal with both Devontae Adams and Darren Waller. I know that can also be a very high-scoring game against Los Angeles. Personally, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play Jalen Waddle and Adam Thielen. I think Godwin's someone that you're playing over Adam Thielen later on in the year, but let's just make sure he's actually healthy before we put him in. And now, Rashad White says, in a 12-team league, we have Lamar at quarterback. A running back, we have Mixon, Dylan, Miles Sanders, and Dameon Pierce. Wide receiver, we have Jalen Waddle, CeeDee Lamb, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert, David Bell, Kyle Pitts, 2 flexes. How to make the team better, missed the draft. Okay, thank you, of course, for coming out. I'll say, I think you have a lot of upside here, but if we're looking at the bench, Sky Moore, George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert, David Bell. It's a lot of upside for the end of the year where it's going to be very difficult to go through and start these guys early on. David Bell, in my opinion, is this year's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think that David Bell is going to be a breakout wide receiver in the last 6 weeks that maybe is an every week starter for you for the fantasy football playoffs. But at the same time, I am fine if we were to go through, if we were to drop David Bell now, knowing that he's going to be playing in one of the worst passing offenses in the NFL through the first 11 weeks. We kind of want to give these rookies some runway to develop. So I think we drop David Bell. We pick up a wide receiver that actually projects to see targets early on in the season, someone like Isaiah McKenzie. But we make sure we keep David Bell on our watch list to pick up later. Now, outside of that, if you were to want to upgrade at running back 2, maybe you try to trade together A.J. Dillon and Dameon Pierce in a package, 2 players with a ton of hype for the right reasons, and we try to get a truly elite level running back if that is something that you were looking for. Okay, let's move this down. Tyler Algier plummeting in these drafts. Listed as the running back 3 in Atlanta. RIP anybody who's been drafting a lot of Tyler Algier. There's a different player that I'd actually be excited about. Khalil Herbert goes off the board, so we are going to get Robert Tonyan. Let's go ahead. I mean, I think Robert Tonyan is the tight end that a lot of people think Dawson Knox is. I think Robert Tonyan and Dawson Knox are very comparable players. The only difference is one of them scored a lot of touchdowns in 2020. One of them scored a lot of touchdowns in 2021. I was not drafting Robert Tonyan at all last year, but now we're getting him at a much cheaper price, and we have no Devontae Adams. Sign me up for that any day of the week. Okay. Now, of course, if you have not gone down there and dropped a like in the live stream, make sure you do that. If we hit 400 likes on this stream, we are going to go ahead. We are going to fire up another draft into this one. Maybe this isn't a 24-hour live stream, but maybe we can make it a very long one. Okay, so now Corey Davis off the board here at 168. Quarterbacks, I mean, right now, best available are going to be Goff, Baker, Mac Jones, Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that we need to go with any of these quarterbacks here. Tiger Light took Daniel Jones and has not as their only QB. Do they go with another? Go Marvin Jones. Very interesting. They reached 24 picks to make sure they got Daniel Jones. Maybe they know something we don't. Okay. Okay, so Van Jefferson ruled out week 1. Tutu Atwell going to be out there. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's take Alec Pierce. I think we need another wide receiver. I mean, with Alec Pierce, it looks like he's just going to be the field stretching option in Indianapolis. Didn't love him as a prospect. Honestly, I don't even really see why the Colts took him in the 2nd round. But at the end of the day, I mean, in a best ball format, I think we need a wide receiver here. I think that he does have upside. Let's go ahead. Let's take Alec Pierce. And Ryan says, 12-team league. We have Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift at running back. A receiver, we have Mike Evans, Juju Smith-Schuster. Okay, thank God we have the elite tight end with George Kittle. Thank God we have the elite quarterback with Kyler Murray. Beyond that, on the bench, we have Rondale Moore, Elijah Moore, Chase Claypool, Kadarius Toney. I like the team. I would say if Claypool were to start off hot, we're going to go through and we're going to look to try to sell Chase Claypool. I don't necessarily see the case for Deontay, Claypool, and George Pickens to all hit this year. If I have to put my eggs in a couple baskets, we're going heavily in Deontay Johnson's basket and then sprinkling a few eggs over there with George Pickens. So if Claypool starts off hot, if it takes a little bit of time for George Pickens to develop in Pittsburgh, then possibly we try to package together Claypool and like Ezekiel Elliott, get an upgrade at running back for our flex. Now, Matthew says 12-team shallow full PPR. We got Kyler at quarterback, Wide receiver, we have Justin Jefferson, Brandon Cooks. At running back, we have Aaron Jones, Breece Hall. We have the elite level tight end with Kyle Pitts. Okay, this team's actually pretty good with Kyle Pitts. Great roster. I mean, we're taking shots on the upside down there in the bench. Guys like Elijah Moore, Jahan Dotson. Really like the team. I honestly, there's nothing I can say other than that. I know it doesn't help you. I know it doesn't help anybody. But I was better than 99.999% of fantasy football teams I've ever drafted. So how am I supposed to give advice on it? Okay. Now we have Donta Foreman off the board at 178. Gesicki goes 179. Dear God. I've drafted a lot of Gesicki earlier than this. Okay. And if we do get in another draft after this one, it would be just like a $5 draft. So people in the live stream could get in it as well. Maybe this turns out to be a very long stream. Then we get in another high stakes draft later on. But I think the next one we would get in would just be like a $5 draft on Underdog. Ryan says, Mason, any locks of the week for the Thursday night game? The only line that I like in the Thursday night game, I'm just going to look at this 1 second for y'all to see if it's still there. And then we'll go right back. Of course, this is on Underdog as well. It's the same website. And yeah. I like the under half an interception for Josh Allen. But outside of that, nothing else at least that I have seen lately with that Thursday night game. I haven't looked today. Maybe the lines moved a little bit. And of course, if you want to go look at those player props, if you want to get in our next draft, these are best ball drafts, no time commitment at all during the year. You don't even submit your starting lineup. That's done at the end of every week. That's how I drafted over 700 of these teams this offseason. Go sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK. They'll match first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. We'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. We'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. And you can check out those player props as well. But Logan Thomas goes 183. That is a tight end that we've drafted a lot of. But we got him in the 18th round, so I'm excited about it. It's not like where we were taking Mike Gesicki back in the 13th. Now, Vince says in a 12-team $1,000 buy-in, dear God, Swift, Diggs, Herbert, Pitts. Okay, so the elite tight end, the elite quarterback, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chase Edmonds, Amari Cooper, Devin Singletary, James Cook, Traylon Burks, Julio Jones, MVS, Rashad White, who to start at the flex spot. Okay, so I'm assuming at running back this week, we're going to go ahead. We are going to start Swift, Edmonds. At receiver, we're starting Diggs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So at the flex between Amari Cooper, Devin Singletary, James Cook, Julio Burks. Oh, this is a tough question. I would say if you do have no Chris Godwin this week, we're going to go ahead. We are going to start Julio Jones. But beyond that, what are we doing? Crap. Sorry, Deshaun Watson went. So if Godwin does not play, we start Julio. If Godwin plays, I was going to say start Singletary, but Singletary plays tomorrow night. I guess we'd have to pivot over to Amari, but it's not going to be good. David Bell goes 188. Actually, you know what? We have to take quarterback here. We don't even have any stacks. It's ugly. Let's go ahead. Let's take Baker. I was really relying on us getting Watson on the way back around. I was really relying on us getting Watson. I think Van Jefferson's fine value, but at the end of the day, if we're looking at the team behind us, they only have one quarterback, and that's Daniel Jones. So I think there's a possibility that they take two guys here on the turn, and we only have Trey Lance. So we have to take a quarterback. Yeah, Carson Wentz goes 192, like immediately. You know that team was going QB. And they go Noah Fant as well. Sorry. 1 second. Let me look at how many teams have 2 to 3 quarterbacks. Same as Mahomes and Dak, obviously, they can't go with another QB. Okay, we're going to get Van Jefferson. Obviously, Van Jefferson's still dealing with a knee injury, but we're not drafting Van Jefferson for week 1. We're drafting him for the fantasy football playoff stretch. He's a part of an elite level offense. Maybe Allen Robinson goes down and we're looking at a team with Cooper Kupp and Van Jefferson, and then we ship it that way. Let's go ahead. Let's take him here at 195, and let's really hope that we get another quarterback making it back around to us in the 18th. And we have Zalmu coming out. Thank you, says in a 7-team. Okay. If you're drafting in a 7-team league, I'm expecting this to be the best fantasy football team I've ever seen in my entire life. We have Josh Allen, the quarterback, probably a pretty good thing to start off with. And then beyond that, we are going to have Saquon Barkley, James Conner at running back. We have Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams at wide receiver. We have the elite level tight end, Darren Waller. Flex, we have McLaurin, and on the bench, we have Breece Hall, Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, Cordell Patterson, Wilson. I'm assuming this is Garrett Wilson. Devonta Smith, Dawson Knox. I want to try to upgrade my flex. Also trying to trade Diggs versus Adams. Any ideas? I love the idea. Let's go ahead. Let's get Stephon Diggs instead of Devontae Adams here. I think Diggs is better. I think when we have Allen, we're already pot committed to that Buffalo Bills offense. So let's might as well double down. And outside of that, I know you want to upgrade your flex, and you should. Like, obviously, I'm sure that there are fantastic options on the waiver wire for you right now. But at the end of the day, it's going to be very difficult for us to go ahead and actually manage to upgrade that flex spot, because who in this league is wanting to make a 2-for-1 deal? Who's going to want to make a 2-for-1 deal? Everybody has enough depth to go around. So if we are making a trade like that in a 7-team league in particular, we're going to have to go through. We are going to have to overpay to an extreme measure. If we can trade like Amari Cooper and Amari Cooper and Terry McLaurin. And like I said, we're overpaying here. I understand that, but you have to in a 7-team league. Amari Cooper, McLaurin, and we can get Higgins, Pittman, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb. I think that would make a lot of sense. Okay, so I'll smooth this down. And we are 5 likes away from firing up another draft after this one. So if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream, and we will fire one up after this. Okay, so Laviska Shenault, Odell Beckham Jr., Cedric Wilson. There's a clear player that we need here. There's a clear player that we need. Mo Ali Cox goes 2-8. Kyle Phillips. Okay, so people are just all off Tyrion Davis-Price now. Did we get any news out of San Francisco, or is this just the continued trend of people not knowing who the running back 2 is? I mean, I understand, like, maybe, I don't know. There had to be news out of San Francisco, right? If we're getting Jeff Wilson, 186 ADP down here at 214, and Tyrion Davis-Price, 178 ADP down here at 214. Did I miss something? So Taysom Hill, okay, I think we're going to get him. Yeah, I think we get him. This team has 3 quarterbacks. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get Zach Wilson. Obviously, it is not exciting. But we need a 3rd quarterback here, in my opinion. I don't know. This was a bad team. I liked a lot of the values that we got, but at the same time, oh my gosh. Missing out on Watson, I think, killed us. Let's go ahead. Let's hop in a puppy draft here on Underdog. And Scott says another 250. If this live stream gets enough, if this live stream has enough people out here, we'll do another 250. If I can justify it in my mind that it's worth the entertainment value for everyone, then yeah, I will. Now, Siraj coming out says, what up, Mason? Can you rate the roster? It's a 12-team PPR league where we got Kyler Murray at quarterback. Wide receiver, we have Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins. Running back, we have Kamara, Cam Akers. We have the respectable tight end with Dalton Schultz. We have to adjust that every time. Chris Godwin at the flex, and on the bench, we have Hunt, Pickens, Henderson, Isaiah Pacheco. Thanks. Now, I really like the team. I like that we have the elite quarterback, very good running backs with upside. What I'll say is down there in the bench, when it comes to Isaiah Pacheco in particular, I think that this is someone that does have upside. Like, I never thought Isaiah Pacheco was a good player. To be honest with you, on Underdog, have not drafted him that often. But at the same time, like earlier the offseason, I was fine drafting Ronald Jones at his ADP. Like, I was fine taking him when he fell to us because I was like, okay, yeah, Ronald Jones is a bad running back, but it doesn't matter if he's playing in Kansas City. So if Isaiah Pacheco's in that same light, in that same role that we thought Rojo was going to be, even if I think Isaiah Pacheco's a bad running back, it also shouldn't matter in his case. So I think we hold on to him, but we look to wait and see what the roles are for guys like Ronald Jones, Jerick McKinnon in this offense. Because if Isaiah Pacheco's the running back 3 here, I think we just have to be early to go ahead and cut him. But Sam coming out, thank you, my man, says, in a 10-team half PPR format, we have the elite level quarterback, Trey Lance. Running back, we have Najee Harris, A.J. Dillon. Wide receiver, we have Diggs, Allen Robinson, Gabriel Davis, Jerry Jeudy. Okay, great. Kyle Pitts here. Bench, Dobbins, Sanders, MVS, Henderson, Tony Hopkins, Shred Ideas. Really like the team in a 10-team half PPR format, shallow starting lineup. Like, if we don't have the role that we like from Marquez Valdes-Scantling early on, I'd be fine to go ahead and let him go. I think that he does have upside, like, in a best ball type contest. I really like Marquez Valdes-Scantling since he's attached to Patrick Mahomes, of course. But in your casual, shallow redraft league, it's going to be very hard to know when we're ever supposed to start the guy. So if we don't like the role that we have early on, I would say feel free to go ahead and cut him. But now we have Jamar Chase falling to 7. Stephon Diggs goes before him. Okay, Stephon Diggs was someone that we were hoping that we would get at pick 11 here. Travis Kelce goes at 8, so Derrick Henry is the value on the board at this point. It goes Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams. Derrick Henry off. Dalvin Cook goes. Let's go ahead. Let's take Devontae Adams. Yeah, we're going to go Adams. And then I don't want to show exactly how we queue it up because I don't know if Jay Hansen is watching this live stream. Goes Kamara. Okay, yeah, so we're going to take whoever falls between these two guys. If they both went, I honestly thought we were going to get a little unique with it. We were going to go with the running back at the end of this tier. But no, I don't think there are going to be too many Devontae Adams and Najee Harris teams. So let's go ahead. Let's take Najee Harris here at 14. And yeah, I do have Joe Mixon ranked ahead of Najee Harris, but they are in the same tier for us. And I'm drafting over 700 of these teams this offseason. So I can't just go out there and take the players highest in my rankings in every single draft, or we would end up with them way too much. I'm trying to cap out at like 17, 18% on an individual player. I don't necessarily want to be pushing it to like 25% of them in drafts. NC Trick says, rip your voice, Mason. Does my voice still sound bad from the 24-hour stream? I know we sound pretty gross yesterday, but I thought today we were fine. Let me know. Is my voice still a little off from that live stream? I thought we were fine today. But Hypermeter says, hey man, love the videos. Starter sit for week 2 at running back. Jacobs, Dillon, Antonio Gibson. Keep up the great content. Thank you, my friend. We did put out our running back rankings earlier. We have Gibson, Jacobs, literally back-to-back, A.J. Dillon in the same tier. We have all those guys in the same tier. I hate to give you this answer. I think you can go any way you want. I personally have Gibson the highest. I know a lot of people would rather go A.J. Dillon. I'll say A.J. Dillon's probably the best player for the season, given the upside that he has that the other running backs can't come close to. But for week 1 in particular, Gibson does have a good matchup against Jacksonville. We know we don't have Brian Robinson. We'd probably go Gibson. It's close, though. Okay. We have okay, people saying it's a little rough. NC Trick says it's definitely better. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. But now, did anything happen here that needs to be pointed out? I guess Barkley falling to 18 is a little low for Barkley at this point. Josh Allen goes 27. Very rarely are you getting Allen there in terms of him going that early. This is where you would go at the beginning of the offseason, but he's definitely fallen back closer to guys like Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. Now, Matt says, quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Running back, Connor Taylor. Wide receivers, we have Diggs, Lamb, tight end Njoku, flex, A.J. Brown. Hell yes, we have A.J. Brown. And game makers. On the bench, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Bateman, Tony, Pierce, Pickens. Who should I start over Akers, if anyone? I love the upside that Akers has rest of season. I prefer Akers over Clyde Edwards-Helaire rest of season. But week 1 in particular, I probably do go ahead, play Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Very similar to what we were talking about with Godwin. I like the upside that we have rest of season with Godwin. But with these players returning from injury, let's see it before we actually go ahead and just jam them into our starting lineup. So yeah, I played Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Cam Akers week 1. Maybe long-term, Akers is the guy. I mean, I've drafted a lot of Akers. I probably will draft him here if he makes it to us. Pick 62, 59, one of those. Let's move this over. So, I mean, they went Derrick Henry, CeeDee Lamb. I think you should be very excited about the Derrick Henry, CeeDee Lamb combo. I go DJ Moore. They take our guy from us. This team is Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon, so I don't exactly know what to expect here. They go Sutton, so we're going to reach on Jalen Waddle. This team has 2 running backs. I think that it's going to be very difficult for them to go ahead and take both James Conner and Travis Etienne. I definitely prefer Jalen Waddle over the other wide receivers in this range. So let's go ahead. Let's get Waddle 35. Even though we are reaching, I know. I just don't think this team is going to take both James Conner and Travis Etienne. I'd imagine they go back-to-back receiver. And Big Ass Ryan says, just traded Bateman and Dobbins for Hunt and Godwin. PPR league, Godwin will now be with Justin Jefferson, Brandon Cooks, and Kareem Hunt will be with Barkley, CMC, and Kamara. Okay, so if you have Barkley, CMC, and Kamara, I don't necessarily know if any of this matters. Like, you're going to be crushing the field regardless. Here, 1 second. We're going to take Jerry Jeudy. I think very rarely does Jerry Jeudy go in this range of drafts. So I think it will be a unique build. I think all these wide receivers are in the same tier. And I used to take ETN here, but with James Robinson being good to go week 1, I am much, much more worried about James Robinson. But going back to what I was saying, I think it's an unbelievable roster if you have CMC, Barkley, Kamara on the same team. I don't even know how you did that. I would have rather had Dobbins out there perform well and potentially be able to sell him high, though. I wonder if we could have had a spike week from Dobbins early on. Okay. But I'm going to ask y'all a big favor here. Please, if you have found the YouTube channel over the past 3 or 4 days, would you mind going to the live chat and telling me how you found it? Was it YouTube recommending a rankings video, an injury video, a live stream? Did you find us from the 24-hour live stream, TikTok, Instagram? Let me know, please. It helps me out a ton. And also, we just passed 500 likes in the stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there, dropping a like, and showing their support. But Justin Herbert goes to the team that went Derrick Henry, CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore. I don't understand the Herbert's pick. Because if we're looking at Herbert here, you don't have Keenan, you don't have Mike Williams, you don't have Eckler. We've had Herbert fall to us in the 5th, where we have gone through and we've taken him without those guys. But at pick 40, I don't necessarily get it. Okay. Rankings video. Rankings. Found you from 24-hour. I know Suraj Patel says I'm an OG flocker. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Sam. That's Sam. That's where most people find us from. Okay. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it. And now, after we take Jeudy, you have a lot of these other wide receivers that, in my opinion, are all in the same tier. You have Juju Smith-Schuster, Gabriel Davis, and Allen Robinson going off the board. What's interesting is the 2 teams drafting next to us, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to continue to go running back later on. I think we will be in a spot where we can probably just take some value from them. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Dameon Pierce, 47. Back-to-back drafts with Dameon Pierce in the 4th round. If you drafted Dameon Pierce in the double-digit rounds, I got to give it to you. I got to give it to you. Credit where credit is due. You killed it. Damian Pierce in the 4th. Like, David Montgomery goes to the 6-7 turn here, and we're taking Pierce in the 4th. Now we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, pick 50. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown has flown up these draft boards. I'll say, I think he starts off hot at the beginning portion of the year, definitely. I'm a little bit concerned about what we'll have when Jameson Williams comes back, because if we have a healthy Jameson Williams, DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, DJ Chark, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't see how there's enough production to go around for all these guys. Maybe I'm a little too pessimistic. Maybe it's just Mason, shut up. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a stud. Look at what he did at the end of the year. But what he did at the end of the year was without DeAndre Swift, without TJ Hawkinson, without Jameson Williams, without DJ Chark. Like, nobody was there whenever he had that dominance. But I'm completely fine with it. Like, we have drafted a lot of 6th-round Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, Kevin says, hey, Mason, these streams are extremely helpful. Thank you, my friend. Says, I'm in a 10-team at PPR league with Mahomes, Kelsey. Okay, Kansas City Chiefs tag that we're looking for. And then we have Lance as well. I'm assuming that your league mates just didn't know how to value Lance and you got him in like one of the last rounds. Debo, Ayuk, Judy, Tony, London, CMC, Damian Harris, Brees Hall. Any potential trade targets? Thank you so much for supporting the channel. In my opinion, the clear trade to make. Actually, you have Lance stacked up with Debo and Ayuk. So you have the double stack with Lance. It's just the issue is in a standard one quarterback redraft league, like, are we ever starting Lance over Mahomes? I doubt it. Even if we have the stack, I think what we would probably look to do is I think we would look to package together Lance and Damian Harris, get an upgrade at running back 2 once we have the Lance breakout. We're definitely going to have to wait for the Lance breakout, though, because I don't think your league mates are going to appropriately value him. Okay, so now the Joe Riggs on the clock. I don't think they go Cam Akers. I don't think either of these teams go Akers. They go Brandon Cooks. So because we don't think they go Akers, we're going to take the elite level quarterback. We're going to take Jalen Hurts, someone with a lot of rushing upside. And then I think we get Akers on the way back around. Yeah, because this team here has Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Swift, and James Conner. And as I've said before, I think Jalen Hurts can be the quarterback 1 in fantasy. I mean, PFF has him graded out to have the best offensive line in the NFL. I love A.J. Brown. I really like Devonta Smith. Dallas Goedert is an extreme talent as well. So let's go ahead. Let's take Cam Akers as our running back 2. I know everybody's worried about the torn Achilles. It is scary. And no, we should not draft Cam Akers with the same level of draft capital that he had last year. Last year, he was going at the end of the 1st. It's a completely different price point. Okay. So now we have David Montgomery going off the board here, 64. Like, in my opinion, just David Montgomery 64 compared to Brees Hall 46. Give me Montgomery any day of the week. Any day of the week here. But, of course, I'm an idiot. Of course. Now, Elijah Mitchell goes off the board 65. Did we have... Okay, I don't know if we saw the chat, if anybody told us about this. But please, go to the live chat right now. Did we have any news in San Francisco regarding these running backs? Did we have anything? Because in that last round, we had Tyrion Davis-Price falling 30 picks past his ADP. Jeff Wilson falling 20 picks past his ADP. It's very possible that I missed something today, and I'm out of the loop with what's going on in San Francisco. So if someone wants to fill me in, that'd be great. Like, we had Elijah Mitchell falling to us at like pick 78, 77 in a $250 draft on the live stream last night. Nick says, can't even get Jordan Mason on Underdog yet. Yeah, so regarding Jordan Mason, the reason he's not on Underdog, it's not because, I mean, Underdog updates their ADP. They update everything faster than anybody else does. But when there were drafts done, like in Best Ball Mania, way back in June, and when there were drafts there in May, and Jordan Mason wasn't in the player pool, they can't add Jordan Mason in the player pool for drafts that are happening today, or it'd be unfair across the entire tournament. So he's never going to be added on there, at least not for Best Ball Mania, not for any tournaments that had drafts get kicked off without him in the player pool. Like, I mean, I think new tournaments can have him. I don't think old ones can. Ryan says, not that I know of. I just think that Tyrion Davis-Price is undervalued right now. I got him a 189 last night. Literally, in that last draft, he fell to the 18th round. He was past pick 200 in the draft last night. I mean, not last night, 5 minutes ago. Okay, let's move this down. We got Tony Pollard off the board here, 75. Chase Edmonds has been a big time riser for the right reasons, of course. Where did Wilson go? Wilson was going to be someone that we were looking at. He went 67, very early for Wilson. And of course, if you have not dropped a like on the live stream yet, you know what I'm about to ask. Go down there, drop a like on the stream. We have live streamed like 100 days in a row. We're going to live stream for another 100 days. Who else is live streaming for 200 days in a row every year? And on top of that, going ahead, getting a 24-hour live stream going. Please take not even 3 seconds. Let me time how much it takes for me to do this. Okay, let me count. 1 Mississippi. Okay, now we already dropped a like on the video on our phone. Okay. Takes you 1 second. Go down there and drop a like, completely free. Subscribe to the channel as well. We're doing these live streams nonstop. And that Vietnamese guy says, I just got offered Swift for AJ Brown. Don't normally like preseason trades. Roster is Herbert, Kamara, Dillon, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. Man, you got to take it. You got to take it. Dillon's our running back too here. I mean, I know we have some depth with the guys like Stevenson, Melvin. It's a great, great trade. Even if you don't like making preseason trades, congrats on the value. Just go get DeAndre Swift. Okay, so now Drake London goes 80, Hunter Renfrow 81. Trey Lance off the board. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Amari Cooper. I think when we take Amari Cooper, we can take Deshaun Watson later on. Don't love Amari Cooper in just regular shallow redraft leagues. At the beginning of the year, it's going to be gross, which could be Brissett, as we already said. Like, if we go through and take the advantage to go look at Underdog right now, look at there. Player prop on Amari. Like, trust me, this is going to be gross. Right now, Underdog is Amari at 9.5 fantasy points. I'm not even saying that's a bad line. I think that's probably accurate. Way better than a line I could come up with. But specifically for Underdog Fantasy, we are trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17 to have the elite level ceiling for the fantasy football playoffs. And I think Amari Cooper could have that with Deshaun Watson later in the year. Let's go ahead. Let's take Amari 83, and then we'll go Josh Jacobs 86. And of course, if you want to get in one of these drafts on the live stream, off the live stream with your friends in the public lobby, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100, so it's essentially free for you to check out. And on top of it, they have those cool player props. There are in-season drafts. It's best ball, so that means there's no time commitment at all during the season. Your best starting lineups automatically submitted for you at the end of every single week. It's how I'm able to draft over 700 of these teams, because there's no time commitment at all. Perfect spot to get in an extra fantasy football draft this year or during the season if you want. And of course, go use promo code FLOCK. You'll get our rankings. You'll get our draft guide with a $10 deposit. You can find the link literally anywhere. Find it in the chat. Find it in the description. Okay, but now Lucky Ace says, rate my team, please. We are a 10-team half PPR league with Lamar, Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler, Barkley, Kittle, Metcalf. I really like it. I think if we have a depth wide receiver, we could package with George Kittle and get an upgrade to Lamar Jackson to build in that correlation with, with wide receiver and Kittle. Go get Mark Andrews to build in the correlation with Lamar Jackson. I think that'd make a lot of sense. Tyler says, start Kareem Hunt, Dameon Pierce, or Brandon Ayuk at the flex. If George Kittle misses this week, we go Ayuk. If he doesn't, I think we go ahead and start Dameon Pierce. Yeah, but if Kittle misses, you're going to go ahead and you're going to play Ayuk. Tom Brady off 90. Miles Sanders, Rashad Penny. Let me know, do y'all think we should have gone Lazard at 86? I mean, Allen Lazard has been going off the board at the 6-7 turn here, and y'all know Allen Lazard has been someone we've never taken. I feel like maybe this injury is going to give us a little bit of luck this year. As I mean, we've been on record saying that if Allen Lazard has a massive season, if Allen Lazard is a top 10 receiver, I'm losing money. I'm losing a lot of money this year if that's what we get from Lazard. Maybe we should hedge a little bit if he's going to be falling to the 8th. Let me know what y'all think. Okay. Now, Eric says, pick 2 to start week 1, half PPR. Dameon Pierce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Darnell Mooney. Thank you, my man. If we're looking at these running backs, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Dameon Pierce. I just think he's a part of a better offense in a much, much better game. And if we're looking at Darnell Mooney versus Dameon Pierce, let's go ahead. Let's start Darnell Mooney. Not a great matchup against San Francisco, but at the same time, with these rookies, I just want to see it before we believe it. We've been saying this across the board. Like, even with guys that I really like the upside that we have later on, if we have not seen the player be productive in the NFL, if we have not seen what their actual role is going to be like, do we have to start them week 1? I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, Mark says, I think Jacobs will be okay. Yeah, guys, I understand nobody likes Jacobs. Like, you were labeled an automatic fish if you draft Josh Jacobs, which is probably accurate in my case. I probably am a fish. But at the same time, if we are looking at the ADP for Josh Jacobs, I think because he is the most hated player in fantasy, at the same time, he is a pretty strong value here. I'm completely fine taking him at 86. Okay, now Matthew Stafford off the board at 101. Dak Prescott goes 102. And also, I don't want to act like we've only drafted Josh Jacobs in the 8th round. I got to be honest with you. I've drafted Jacobs early in this. I've drafted Jacobs in the 6th. I've drafted Josh Jacobs in the 7th. Now, Rodgers goes 104. See what the Joe Riggs does. Right now, 3 running backs with Dalvin. They go Robert Woods, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Treylon Burks. Easy pick with Treylon Burks here. I mean, also one of our most drafted wide receivers. I mean, getting him after pick 100. I think a wide receiver prospect that checks every single box. Opportunity year 1. Really like taking him. Lockett off the board as well. Not a big Singletary guy. I understand Derek Carr does correlate with Devontae Adams, but I'd rather go 2 QBs late, one of them being Watson. Let's go ahead. Let's take Boyd. I think with Tyler Boyd, if you're looking at his ADP being like the wide receiver 50, he crushed that last year, and there is contingency value if something occurs to Jamar Chase, if something occurs to T. Higgins. I think Boyd does finish a lot higher than this. Now, Lucky A says, I have Rashad Bateman to pair with Lamar. Just wasn't sure if I should start him this week. Personally, just like what we were saying earlier, I know so many people got mad at me for not having Rashad Bateman ranked inside our top 30 wide receivers. Like, the last tier of receivers we have, the wide receivers so deep. Juju, Adam Thielen, DK Metcalf, Allen Lazard. Assuming Lazard's healthy. Guys, before that, guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gabriel Davis, Allen Robinson, Sutton. So people got really mad at us for not having Rashad Bateman over those guys. But at the same time, can we see it before we believe it? With Rashad Bateman, with someone who we haven't seen be productive. We haven't seen him be efficient. We've seen him be very inefficient. He was, I don't want to say this with certainty because I'll say it with near certainty. He was, if not the most inefficient rookie receiver last year from a yards per route run basis, he was damn close to being the worst, the most inefficient rookie receiver. Let's see it before we believe it. I just want to see it. I think that he does have a lot of upside, but I don't see why we have to play him week 1. Okay, now we have Garrett Wilson, 118, Chase Claypool, 117, Rondale Moore. I don't even know what we're rooting for at this point. You know, players that I like on the board, I mean, some of these rookies I'm a fan of. But I think we have a well-balanced roster. At running back, we have Najee, Akers, Jacobs. Receiver, we have Adams, Waddle, Judy, Amari, Treylon Burks, Tyler Boyd. And there are a lot of tight tight end values you can find later on. But someone goes Davis Mills. Davis Mills, 122. Oh, dear God. I know Davis Mills has his fans out there, but I know it's consensus. Like, it's so funny when it's consensus that a player's undervalued, because if anything, it makes them the exact opposite. But everybody wants to say Davis Mills, the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. Literally, Las Vegas, as we've said a million times before, has this as the worst team in the NFL this year. The worst team. But you know what? I got pretty good news for you. We entered in that $250 draft like 20 minutes ago, waiting for this to fill up. And we are in here, and we get a great pick as well in that $250 draft. So we're going to go over there in just 1 second. Of course, if you have not done so already, go down. We have two $250 drafts going for you in this live stream right now. Go down there. Drop a like on the stream. I'll make our 2 picks here, and then we'll bounce over to that $250 one. Tyler says, need 2 for the flex. We got Darnell Mooney, Kareem Hunt, Ayuk, Stevenson, Tony, and Julio. I think for this week in particular, we're going to go Darnell Mooney. And regardless of if Kittle misses, we go Ayuk. Regardless of if Kittle misses, we go Ayuk. I guess maybe you could say that Julio has upside if there's no Godwin in this offense, but still, I don't want to see it before we believe it. Okay. Now let's make our 2 picks, and we'll bounce over to that $250 draft. Okay, so the Joe Riggs team on the clock. They go Isaiah McKenzie. I'm not a massive Hines guy, but he does fall here well past his ADP. Let's go ahead and let's take him. What was the report with Gage? Limited with hamstring still. I think maybe we take our 5th. Yeah, we're going to take our 5th running back here, and we're going to be done with the running back position. We'll go ahead. We'll take Michael Carter. And we are done at running back. And let's go over and let's look at that $250 draft. I think we are on the clock in that right now. Ooh, just joined the wrong one. We just got Cooper Kupp. So 2 $250 drafts. We have Cooper Kupp here. Last time we took him at the 103. This time we're getting him with the 104. Chandler says, grade my running back draft. We got Mixon, Michael Carter, Saquon Barkley. What is wrong with you? Are you a psychopath? Why are you putting Michael Carter before Saquon Barkley? That is disrespectful, my friend. We are going through. I think you make the argument Barkley's running back 1. Yeah, I have Mixon at him. I think it's a great team. I think that we were looking at 2 running back 1s here with Joe Mixon and Saquon Barkley. 2 guys that could be top 5 options this season. Of course, it's not guaranteed. And then with Michael Carter, someone that should have a receiving down role at the beginning part of the year and should be a premium handcuff running back later on, because Breece Hall is taking over this backfield. Okay. So now we have Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris off the board. Saram says, hey, Mason, thoughts on Christian Kirk this week and season? I mean, with Christian Kirk, you just know that the targets are going to be there in Jacksonville. They have nobody else to go to outside of if you want to make the argument that you could see a respectable target share for Travis Etienne. What I would say is the ceiling's going to be a little bit capped unless we see massive improvements by Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, that's a real possibility as you are looking at Doug Peterson being a massive upgrade over Urban Meyer, but I think that it's not fair to just say the only reason Lawrence struggled year 1 was Urban. Urban Meyer was obviously a horrendous coach, but at the same time, there's the outside chance that Lawrence just isn't the quarterback that we thought he was going into the NFL. I think he's a high floor, low upside player. This week in particular, I think the matchups, whatever, against Washington. Now, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara here, 14 and 15. Okay, yeah, we need to pull up that other draft on our phone to make sure we're not missing out on any picks. Okay, so Aaron Jones, Mixon goes to the team that took Najee Harris in the first. So they reach on Harris, have Joe Mixon falling a bit. So literally this 1-2 start is very similar to what you'd have from like the 111, 112. So Swift goes 18. Looks like we may have a very similar start to what we did in the last $250 draft. Evans goes 19. Renegade took Derrick Henry at pick 5, so I don't necessarily know if they're just willing to take the best player available here with Javonte Williams. I mean, obviously, they go out of their way to reach on Derrick Henry a bit. Did they take Henry before Eckler or Chase? Henry and Eckler went before Jamar Chase here. So Mark Andrews off the board. We'll go Debo. I mean, I think that the middle round running back on Underdog is just mid-round running back value on Underdog is so strong. It is so strong. Sorry, in that other draft, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. So after we go Debo Samuel, this team has Jefferson at 3. They go Javonte Williams. Kyle Pitts goes 23. Maybe you can make the argument we should have gone ahead and we should have taken Kyle Pitts here, knowing that he wouldn't have made it back to us in the 3rd. We have so much Kyle Pitts already that I'm not stressing it, though. Sorry, in that other draft, trying to figure out what we're going to do. Then we just go ahead and take our guy, Christian Watson. We have so much Christian Watson, though. Okay, now Michael Pittman goes pick 26. Well, I didn't even notice. Oh my gosh. This team at 1 takes Josh Allen and Gabriel Davis. Did y'all see that? They go Leonard Fournette, so we're going to get Tyreek Hill here. We're starting out the gate. Cooper Kupp, Debo Samuel, Tyreek Hill. Oh my gosh. On Underdog, we had to start 3 wide receivers, and it's best ball. We are going to get such strong running back value later that I love this start. Oh, this is exciting. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft, if you want to get in a draft at any point, they even do these during the season, go sign up for Underdog. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all. It's not meant to replace your main fantasy league. It's meant to have some extra drafts on the side. They also have cool pick'ems that you can go ahead and look at. I mean, we'll show this real quick just because we have that game going tomorrow. If y'all want to go check these out, maybe take a Zach Moss under. I'm not recommending it, but if that's something you wanted to do, go sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK. With promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. We'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. We'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. Most importantly, you can have some fun. Draft with us. We're going to be doing these drafts during the season as well. Okay, so now Higgins goes 31. A.J. Brown goes 30. So all these players look like incredible values, but that's because Allen and Gabriel Davis went very early here. Really interesting. Sutton off the board, 33. Keenan Allen goes as well. Yeah, so Mike Williams officially on Underdog now has a higher ADP than Keenan Allen. I think people are just getting too cute with it. I don't know. I feel like people are getting a little too cute with it. And we kind of want running backs to make it back to us. Usually there aren't a lot of running backs that I want to take here at the end of the 4th round, though. So James Conner goes 37 to the team that went Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, and Jalen Waddle out the gate. So we did have a massive run on wide receivers there at the end of the 3rd, but that's what you come to expect on Underdog. Like, especially in these high stakes drafts, it's very rarely is James Conner actually going at his ADP. Okay, we're in the clock in the other league. We're on the clock in the other league. Yeah, we don't have the ability to take Watson, so let's go ahead and... Jerry Jeudy goes 38. So exactly what we did in that last draft, taking Jerry Jeudy there at the beginning of the 4th to get a little bit of unique build and a flat tier wide receivers as well. I don't think you're sacrificing upside, and I think you are getting a unique build. Thomas says, I've taken Mike Williams over Keenan on underdog since March. Thomas out here flexing. Obviously, Thomas is a Chargers fan, so maybe if that's your stance, my man, we got to go ahead and give it to you. So we're just queuing up tight ends in that other draft. And now here, back up on the clock. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get McLaurin. I think that these teams here at the end are definitely going to be taking receivers. So we go McLaurin. There's a chance that we get the elite level quarterback making it to us at 52. If we don't get the elite level quarterback making it to us at 52, we will get a tight end. We're either going to go QB or tight end. If all of them go off the board, which is highly unlikely, maybe then we change our mind. But I'm thinking that it's probably going to be either Lamar, Mahomes, Kittle, or Waller. So Lamar goes 46. Monroe St. Brown, 47. Mr. Steph says, I don't know, Deontay Johnson disrespected. I mean, Deontay Johnson's one of my most drafted wide receivers on Underdog. I agree with you. I think that Deontay Johnson, wide receiver 7 on a points per game basis last year. Yes, obviously, we have some uncertainty with the quarterback switch. Still, I think that he is a great value. I definitely agree with you. Okay, so Kyler off the board. A.J. Dillon goes 48. Very interesting to see Dillon there. Oh, A.J. I mean, dear God, I wish I could go back in time and take way more A.J. Dillon in the 6th round than I did. Joshua says, why is he taking Juju that early? This is Juju's ADP now. He takes Juju at 44. Look, Juju has an ADP of 43.8. Like, it's not like you reached on Juju. And trust me, I'm not saying Juju's a massive value there. In years past, I've come out and I've said, oh, Juju, best value in fantasy football. And we got smoked. We've lost a lot of money on Juju Smith-Schuster. Cooks goes. I know that was not our plan. I get it. Trust me on this one. Trust. We're not doing this in a regular shallow redraft format. In a shallow redraft league, you can't do this. On Underdog Fantasy, where you have to start 3 wide receivers and you have the flex and it's best ball, I think we can get away with this. Our initial plan was the elite level tight end, but I did not expect Godwin to make it back here 52. I mean, we've seen a lot of Chris Godwin in the 4th round. I thought Godwin was almost guaranteed to go off the board. We had this team going rogue, taking A.J. Dillon and Devonta Smith, giving us Godwin at 52. My initial plan was the elite level tight ends. That's what I thought we were going to go with, but at the same time, I think very rarely are we actually going to be able to have the opportunity to take Godwin in the 5th round now. And if you're new to Underdog, I am addicted to the round 6, round 7 running back value. Like, we are going to be able to come away with guys that we really like here. We're going to be able to get J.K. Dobbins, pick 69, possibly David Montgomery, 69. Like, there are some incredible running back values you get on Underdog later. So Michael Thomas off the board. The Bears decides to go ahead and take Rashad Bateman there. Okay, so. And if y'all want to roast me, you are more than welcome to roast me. All I ask, because I've done over 700 of these drafts, I think I have an idea of how this is going to go. So all I ask is if you wait till after round 11, after round 12, then feel free to go to the live chat and tear this team apart. But also, thank you so much for everybody going down there, dropping a like on the live stream. We just passed 700 likes on the stream. Closing in on 1,000 likes on the live stream. I mean, y'all are incredible. The first time we hit 1,000 likes on the stream was like a month ago. It's still crazy to think that that's even a possibility. Okay. Now, Cam Akers goes 61. DK Metcalf 62. Obviously, we want wide receivers off the board. Like, take DK. Take Elijah Moore. Take Darnell Mooney. Take Adam Thielen. Take Brandon Ayuk. Get these players off. I'm assuming Dameon Pierce goes before we're back up on the clock. We've seen a lot of, in every draft we've done today, we've seen 4th round Dameon Pierce. So this is the latest we've seen Pierce go all day. This team Rams 1 on the clock. Keep in mind, this is a $250 draft right now. So I think the majority of these drafters probably know what they're doing. They have 3 running backs with Najee Harris, Joe Mixon. They go Darnell Mooney there, pick 64. Roy Grip goes Adam Thielen. Okay, both these teams only have 1 running back. There's a chance they go RB. This team has Swift, Chase, Higgins, Hollywood, Kittle. Maybe they go Joe Burrow to make sure they get Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Burrow double stack. Let's see what they do. They go Elijah Moore. Honestly, that's what I would have done as well. I definitely would have gone through and rolled the dice to see if you get Burrow making it back to you in round 7. So we are going to be guaranteed one of these RBs between Montgomery, Elijah Mitchell, and J.K. Dobbins, which we so clearly need. Dylan says, I use code FLOCK on Underdog. How do I get the draft guide? Thank you, Dylan. So once you make that $10 deposit on Underdog with promo code FLOCK, I'm sure you noticed that deposit got matched dollar for dollar. So if you made a $10 deposit, you have $20 in your account. That happens immediately, but it is going to take about 1 to 2 hours for that draft guide and those rankings to get emailed to you. So check your email. It's going to come from Underdog Fantasy, and it may go to your spam. So if it's been 1 to 2 hours and you haven't seen it, check your spam, check your promos folder on Google, and it may be sitting there. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to get David Montgomery, pick 69. Could not be more excited about this. This is a beautiful team so far. For this format, this is maybe one of the best $250 drafts we've had. Now, Shotty says 12-hour stream, question mark. Week 1, start and sit, Juju Smith-Schuster and David Montgomery. Thank you. With Juju, I think he has a lot of upside. It's a perfect matchup, but very similar to a lot of the other long-term upside players that we're excited about. Can we see what Kansas City is like before we go through and put these guys in? Before we go and start Juju Smith-Schuster, can we get an idea of what the target share is going to be like, how many routes these players are going to be running? I would go ahead. I would start David Montgomery. We know David Montgomery, while he's playing in a horrendous offense, behind a horrendous offensive line, there are not going to be a lot of touchdown opportunities, and it's not a great matchup against San Francisco. We know he's getting the workload. Okay. JB Mixer says, will you be live streaming during the game tomorrow? Not during the game, but I will be live streaming after the game. Okay. Mitchell goes 74. Okay, that definitely, it's not what we were hoping was going to happen. But you know what? I think we're fine. I'm assuming this team goes ahead and they take Ayuk. I'm assuming this team's going to take Ayuk here. At wide receiver right now, they have Justin Jefferson. No, they go Renfro. I still think we have to go Lance no matter what. I mean, we have Debo. We want to get the elite level quarterback here. So let's go ahead. Let's take Lance. So right now at wide receiver, we have Kupp, Debo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin. Keep in mind, league where you have to start 3 wide receivers, and one of these players can hit our flex every week. Running back, we're just holding it the fort down with David Montgomery. And then we have the elite level quarterback with Trey Lance, who does correlate with Debo Samuel. Okay. Really like this draft here. Really like this draft. Now, Joe Burrow's off the board, 79. Yeah, you're not expecting Burrow to make it back to us, but is this the team? I think this is the team that went Higgins and Chase, right? Yeah, this is the team that got Chase falling down to 7, Higgins going to 31. So, y'all are literally witnessing history. Right now, what I need everybody to do is go down to the live chat, type I was here. Just type I was here. Because next year, we are going to go back and we are going to react to us winning $20,000 in the Big Dog 2. With this draft, obviously, this is going to be the one that wins it all. And you are going to want to be able to claim that you were here and you saw it live. Okay. Obviously, I was joking, guys, but it's nice to see y'all doing it regardless. Now, Russell Wilson going off the board here, 82. And if the 0.001% chance the team actually wins it, we'll definitely save this little chat thing so we can go through and show it off. Ryan says, Mason, I'll be at the Flock Rager when you win. Yeah, guys, I'll say, if we win any tournament if we win over 100,000 on Underdog this year, any tournament, I will throw the biggest fantasy Flock meetup party the world has ever seen. Like, we'll have a meetup this year no matter what at the end of the year. But if we end up winning some serious money, the meetup's not going to be at the park in Austin. It'll probably, God knows, probably rent out a stadium for the 15 people who show up. But it'll be a party. It'll be a party. Okay, now we got Josh Jacobs off the board, 88. Y'all know I would have been excited about getting Jacobs on the way back around at 93. Now Roy on the clock has Dalvin, Aaron Jones, ETN at running back, receiver DJ Moore, Adam Thielen, Drake London, and then Darren Waller at tight end. They go Amari. Honestly, I would have been tempted to take Amari Cooper at 93 if he would have made it. I think I know our plan. See what this team does. This team goes Antonio Gibson. This team has Eckler, Edmonds at running back. A receiver, they have Mike Evans, A.J. Brown, Allen Robinson. And they got Ayuk 10 picks past ADP in that last round. They go George Pickens, 91. Great for us. Great for us, obviously. I mean, we have Kupp, Debo, Tyreek, McLaurin, Godwin. We're not looking to add another receiver here. Now, Renegade already has 3 running backs. Their 3 running backs are Henry, Chubb. Go Damian Harris. I am not a massive Ramondre Stevenson guy. Like, Ramondre Stevenson at his ADP, when he goes before Josh Jacobs, I'm not taking him there. But at the same time, he's falling 13 picks past his ADP here to us. We so clearly need a running back. A couple of these other running backs that I like, I think there's a chance that they fall back to us on the way back around. Let's go ahead. Let's take Ramondre Stevenson. I don't think too many people in this tournament are going to be able to get him here at 93. Yeah, we'll go. Jay says everyone wears a blazer and collared shirt. Classy. You know, if we throw that massive fantasy Flock network party, if we win something, the requirement to get through the door is you'll need to have a jacket on. I mean, what you wear under the jacket, that's on you. If you want to wear shorts, if you want to wear flip-flops, you can do. That's on you. Requirement's a jacket, though. Now, MVS going 95. Let's swing this back around. Okay, so some more wide receivers going off the board. Obviously, this is perfect for us here. Now, honestly, we could go Dak if we wanted to, knowing that with Dak Prescott, we can get Gallup. Actually, no, it's so much harder to get Gallup later on now. People have adjusted on Gallup, or I don't even know if we're guaranteed to get him in the 10th. And y'all know I've never been excited to take Tolbert. Tolbert's more appealing now that he's fallen so much, but still. Okay, no, actually, we're going to get running back. We're going to go either Kareem Hunt or Miles Sanders. I just didn't know if these guys were going to fall. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Actually, spam the chat. I'm going to give you all of this one. Spam the chat. Obviously, we need running back right now. We have David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson. Which guy do you want? Last I checked, Miles Sanders back at practice behind the best offensive line in the NFL, according to PFF. According to PFF, Kareem Hunt's behind the second best offensive line in the NFL. Okay, so we have Hunt, Sanders, Hunt, Sanders. Okay, most people are saying Kareem Hunt. Most of y'all are saying Kareem Hunt. So let's go ahead. Let's take Kareem Hunt, pick 100. I think with Kareem Hunt, what's really nice is, hell, obviously we are desperate for running back production. I think he can go into our starting lineup even with Nick Chubb healthy because his role in the receiving game And obviously, if something were to occur to Nick Chubb, I think Kareem Hunt has an elite level ceiling. Okay. And I also just came up with an idea to have a tweet. Now, Robert Woods off the board here, 102. Miles Sanders goes 101. Michael says, how is Trey Lance an elite level quarterback? Because here with Lance, doesn't matter if he's going to be good in real life. All that matters is he's going to go out there and he's going to average 40 rushing yards a game. He's going to have the upside for double-digit rushing touchdowns. And we already saw from Jalen Hurts, if you get that bare minimum, you're a mid-quarterback one in fantasy. And what if Lance steps into a situation with Shanahan, a good offensive line, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, and he is good. Not saying he's going to be good from a real-life standpoint, but if he was, it would just be upside on top of that rushing floor that we know he's going to have. Now, Starchy coming out says, hello, I have Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, Deebo Samuel, Dalvin Cook, Swift, Goddard, Hollywood, Jerry Jeudy, Pickens, Thomas, Lockett, Henry, Clyde-Edwards-Helaire, who to drop for, Alexander Madison. Thank you. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I would say if it's an extremely shallow redraft format like this, where the options that we're going to go through and have to drop, guys like George Pickens, Tyler Lockett, those are the two worst players on your roster. All we care about is the elite level ceiling. All we care about is having the player with the highest ceiling possible. Lockett, with Geno Smith at quarterback, is never going to be someone that we're extremely excited to put in our starting lineup. He still should have some random spike weeks. But I think that the guy that we go ahead is drop is Tyler Lockett. I think there will be some other players you can find on the waiver wire that look similar. But oh my gosh, guys, let me go ahead and point this out. This is a $250 draft. We have Raheem Mostert going off the board here, 105. Obviously, this is a running back that is more exciting when we have no Sony Michel in Miami. But at the same time, I mean, if we're looking at Singletary, Melvin Gordon, Darrell Henderson being available, Raheem Mostert, I understand, stepping into a fine situation. And I will say, he is more exciting with no Sony Michel. I'm going to go back to the stat we always say with Raheem Mostert. He's a 30-year-old running back that has one game in his NFL career. One game in his NFL career with 20 or more carries. Now, Furcop says, PPR bench 2. We have Gabriel Davis, Kadarius Toney, Brandon Ayuk, Rashad Bateman, and Drake London. Bench Drake London. Any rookie this week, honestly, if we have the option, I want to bench them. I want to see what they do before we actually put them in our starting lineup. And then also between Gabriel Davis, Toney, Ayuk, and Bateman, I'm probably going to go ahead and bench Kadarius Toney. I think both of those guys have a lot of upside. But at the same time, there's no reason we have to play them week 1. And Manuel coming out says, 10-team PPR. We got Mahomes at quarterback. At running back, we have Kamara, Swift, Javonte. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Allen Robinson. Tight end, we have Tyler Higbee, Henderson, Ayuk, Lockett, Rondell Moore, Stevenson, and Empty. What should I do in wide receiver and tight end? Wide receiver, you're fine. I think what we're going to look to have is a tight end. Currently, you're sitting with Tyler Higbee, who I do think has upside if we go back to the end of 2019. Now, what I would say is, if you have an empty bench spot and Tyler Higbee is your starting tight end, let's pick up another tight end, whether that's Robert Tonyan, whether that's Mike Gesicki, whoever it is down there on the waiver wire. I think if we can pick another option up, just get 2 shots in the dark to try to find this year's Dalton Schultz, try to find this year's Dawson Knox, and then you can solve the tight end position that way. Okay, now Melvin Gordon, 114. Swing this around. So far we have no tight ends. Not a massive fan of taking tight end in this range. Okay, I know what we want. I don't know if we get him, though. Michael Carter goes 115. Very surprising. Claypool goes, so we actually get the guy we want here. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Gallup. Take a wide receiver, in my opinion, has the elite level ceiling that we're looking for at the end of the year. Is a part of a fantastic offense. I know we've already gone very wide receiver heavy, but at the same time, I mean, I just think he's the best guy on the board. Now, Jeremy says, rate my 12-team 2-quarterback dynasty team with 2 flex spots. We have Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields. Obviously, a great trio of guys having a 2-quarterback dynasty format. And then outside of that, a running back, we have Kamara, Dalvin, Swift, Hunt. Wide receiver, we have Keenan, Godwin, Ayuk, Mooney, Waller. I like the team. Obviously, it's a team built around 2022. Long-term value, maybe a little bit tough with guys like Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara going to be 28 next year. But for now, I mean, this team should be the heavy favorite in the league this season. Let's just go home, take the ship this year, and then worry about next year. Okay. Freiermuth off the board. McCole Hardman off the board. What was the report with Zach Ertz? Him being a game-time decision week 1, falling around an ADP. Maybe we go ahead and say, I haven't drafted a lot of Zach Ertz this year, but thing is, if we go Rodgers, it's going to be hard for us to get Christian Watson later on. At least now it's going to be hard. I feel like he is moving up draft boards. Joshua Palmer goes. Let's just go ahead. Let's say Kenneth Walker. I like the Aaron Rodgers value. I like the Zach Ertz value. But at the same time, we go Kenneth Walker here. We have a running back that I think can break out down the stretch in 2022, give us a high ceiling weeks 15, 16, 17. And we need running back. I mean, right now at running back, we have David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, Kareem Hunt, and now we just add back in Kenneth Walker. And yeah, wide receivers going immediately after this. But Max says, Tyrion Davis-Price, Michael Thomas, and Nick Chubb for Leonard Fournette. I have Fournette. Honestly, I have Chubb ranked ahead of Leonard Fournette. So yeah, make the deal. I think we're picking up Michael Thomas for free. Let's go ahead. Let's take Michael Thomas and Nick Chubb over Leonard Fournette. And Gorov coming out. Thank you. Says, thoughts on a 16-team no flex league where we have Stafford at quarterback, Ezekiel Elliott at running back, and Austin Eckler. Okay, thank God we have Eckler here. And then receiver, we have Evans, Bateman. We have the elite level tight end in George Kittle. The bench, Dylan, Jacoby Myers, Tua, Pickens, and Rondell Moore. I like the team. Obviously here, it's acceptable to roster a backup defense when it's a 16-team format. Same thing with a backup quarterback. This would not be a strong team if it was a 12-teamer, but hell, I mean, Stafford's obviously a top 16 QB. Eckler's the top 5 running back. Zeke's a borderline top 16 running back, so you could arguably have 2 running back ones. Say the same thing with the receivers. Yeah, I think it's a great squad. Okay. Like, usually if you were in like a 10 or a 12-team draft, never recommending to roster 2 defenses. If you're in a 10 or a 12-team league, please do not have 2 defenses on your team. But specifically in a 16-teamer, there aren't going to be any guys on the waiver wire. Now Rashad White off the board at 133. So it's funny, Rodgers fell to 131. Zach Ertz goes 132. They've already fallen over a round in ADP value when we were on the board at 124. So fallen almost 2 rounds past their ADP there. So 134, we have Justin Fields. Justin Fields going 4 picks behind back-to-back league MVP Aaron Rodgers. This is why I do think that going forward, I need to play in more leagues that have 6-point passing touchdowns. Like, leagues with 6-point passing touchdowns, the rushing upside is not going to be the only thing that matters at the quarterback position. Where all of a sudden guys like Aaron Rodgers, you don't have to be too afraid to take in the 11th round. I feel like it makes fantasy football more fun. It makes it more like real life. We sent out Irv Smith Jr. off the board, 137. And we just passed 800 likes in the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like. We are only 190 away from 1,000. If you have not dropped a like in the stream, come on, please. Please. If you enjoy these, go down there, drop that like. Now, DJ Chark goes off the board 138. I mean, at receiver, we have Kupp, Debo, Tyreek, McLaurin, Godwin, Gallup. We're not dying for receiver. We're fine. There we go. Kenneth Gainwell is our 5th running back, and I don't think we have to draft another. Let's go. Kenneth Gainwell, pick 141 here as a committee running back here in Philadelphia behind the best offensive line in the NFL that can draw targets and can see touches in the red zone as well. Obviously, Miles Sanders healthy, though, and that is why he is going to be falling. Pump says, is this the last draft stream of the year? Also, would you trade Akers and Elijah Moore for CeeDee Lamb? I have Dak. I would trade Akers and Elijah Moore. I don't know if I would do Godwin. But I think that unless, would you all want me to stream leading up until kickoff? This is probably the last one of the year. I would imagine this is the last. But you know what? No, that's a lie because Underdog has these during the year. We're going to be doing this during the season as well. So maybe it's the last one, but it's the last one before kickoff. I'll say that. But Underdog has drafts in season. So, of course, if you want to draft with us in season on Underdog, or if you want to go check out those player props that we showed earlier, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. They'll match the first deposit, dollar for dollar at $200. It'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. We'll get our 300-page draft guide, which is going to help you even if you've already had your draft. And most importantly, you can check out some player props. Get a 100% deposit match and support this live stream. Now, we have Tyrion Davis-Price off the board here, 144. Jameis Winston goes 145. I think I know who we're going to take at 148. Yeah, now that Jacoby Myers is off the board, I think we're locked into it. Yeah, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, with Tua here, he does stack with Tyreek Hill, of course. I mean, I'm not a massive Tua guy, but he falls 16 picks past his ADP. He fits this build. And then we can go ahead and we can take him. We can be fine with it. So let me recap our draft. I'm very excited about this team. Let me know what y'all think. At receiver, we have Kupp, Debo, Tyreek, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin, Michael Gallup. At running back, we have David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, Kareem Hunt, Kenneth Walker, Kenneth Gainwell. At quarterback, we have Trey Lance and Tua. I think this is a strong team. I think that we're going to go ahead, hammer in 3 tight ends. Of course, we need some tight ends falling to us. But Manuel coming out, of course, thank you for being a long-time member of the vlog. Manuel says, have Everett, Fant, Tonyan, Gesicki, Irv Smith Jr., Alberto, Pat Frymuth, Thomas Uzama Komet on the waivers. Who should I pick up instead of Higbee? Okay, so if we can go get Irv Smith Jr., yeah, Irv Smith Jr. is the tight end that we're plugging and playing. Now that it looks like the Minnesota Vikings are going to be a little bit more pass happy with Kevin O'Connell as their coach, I think we go ahead, we get Irv Smith Jr., and we don't have to think twice about it. Okay. Justin says, hey man, first time doing a 2-quarterback league. I have Allen, Dak, Barkley, Connor, Diggs, Hollywood, Schultz, Akers, Allen Robinson, Tannehill, Ertz, Bateman, Penny. Assuming this is a 10 or 12 team league, I mean, we're sitting here with 2 elite level quarterbacks, Allen and Dak. We have running backs with upside. Barkley can be a top 5 guy. Connor could be a running back 1. We have Diggs stacked up with Josh Allen. We have Dalton Schultz stacked up with Dak Prescott. That's a perfect team. I mean, if it's an 8-team format, then of course every team's going to look good. But assuming this is like a 10 or a 12 teamer, I think it's a great squad. And I think what we could look to do is possibly trade Zach Ertz high if he starts off hot with no DeAndre Hopkins. But it looks like that may not happen with him being a game time decision against Kansas City. But the ZJJ says the 10-team standard league I have has a Burrow at quarterback. Running back, we have Mixon, Barkley. Receiver, we have Kupp, Pittman, and we have Kyle Pitts at tight end. Need help on the flex, Javonte Williams, Gabriel Davis, or Rashad Bateman. Thank you. I think we go Javonte Williams. I know everybody thinks that against the Seattle Seahawks, you're going to have the Denver Broncos going out there and running the ball over and over. Throwing the ball, letting Russ cook. In reality, I think that they handle this game easily. I think that they do look to run the ball with Javonte very often. Now, Shane says PPR, Stafford or Burrow, Chubb or Allen Robinson for the flex. We're going to go Chubb. I don't think the Cleveland Browns are going to have any other option but to run it. I mean, right now they're currently rocking with Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback, and we are going to be rocking with Robert Tonyan as our tight end. But yeah, go Chubb over Allen Robinson. In between Stafford and Joe Burrow. Stafford could be playing in the higher scoring contest. Probably prefer Burrow though. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Please, in the chat, do you want Stafford or Burrow week 1? You have Stafford going up against Buffalo Thursday night. You have Burrow going up against Pittsburgh, I believe, at 1 p.m. Eastern. I think it's 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff for that game in particular. On Sunday, of course. Okay. Burrow. Yeah, most people are voting on Burrow here. I just didn't know if people were excited about the potential shootout that you would have there with Los Angeles as well as Buffalo. So now we have Matt Ryan, Jamal Williams off the board. Zay Jones goes 168. Jeff Wilson 169. I think I know who we want. Yeah, I know who we want. This team has 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends. They have 3 QBs, and one of them's Lamar. Very interesting. We're going to go ahead. We are going to get Jameson Williams here. I mean, speaking of players that should have elite level ceilings in weeks 15, 16, 17, and what is so awesome about taking Jameson Williams is we're able to go through and we're able to name this team the torn ACL squad. We have Godwin at 52 coming off his torn ACL. We have Gallup 117 coming off his. We have Jameson Williams 172 coming off his. And what's great is none of them tore their ACLs at the beginning of the season. They all tore their ACLs at the very end of the year. So, of course, the recovery process is going to be leading into the NFL season. So, it is what it is. If this is a private draft, this is a regular draft, Jameson Williams is not going to play at the beginning of the year. We don't consider him here. But in a tournament where we have weeks 15, 16, 17 as our priority, easiest pick I've ever made. Great value, 172. We weren't drafting him early on in the year, but that's because he opened up in May with an ADP like around pick 100. And if y'all want to see another draft after this one, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. I think we are 15 likes away from 900. If we hit 900 likes on the stream, we are going to go ahead and we are going to fire up the next one. But now we have Alec Pierce off the board at 176. Van Jefferson going as well. I honestly think we definitely are locked into 2 more tight ends. After the 2 more tight ends, I don't know if we're going to go with an extra wide receiver or running back. Taysom Hill goes. Taysom Hill wouldn't have been one of the tight ends we were looking for. Where did Gesicki go in this draft? Gesicki went 160. Okay, so we almost had Gesicki falling to us, giving us the double stack there between Tua, Tyreek, and Gesicki. Paris Campbell off the board. Let's swing this around. Yeah, so I think we read this earlier on Brian Robinson. Let's read it again. Okay, Commanders head coach Ron Rivera said Wednesday that the swelling in Robinson's wounded knee has gone down an awful lot, and the rookie running back's no longer using crutches to move about. Just over a week being removed from the victim of a shooting in an apparent attempted robbery, Robinson already appears to be making a swift recovery. Robinson will open up the season on the reserve non-football injury list, meaning he won't be eligible to play in Washington's first 4 games, blah, blah, blah. So essentially, we still don't know if he's going to be back for week 5. But, I mean, if they're saying he's making the recovery, what else can we ask for? Shane says, Mason, is your sleep schedule back to normal? Yeah, so we all know when we did that 24-hour live stream, I was very worried about our sleep schedule just getting absolutely destroyed. But, no, I went to bed at like 11 last night, woke up this morning 7-something. So I think we're back. I was a little tired at the gym today, but no, we made up the 24-hour live stream to be a much bigger deal than it actually was. It was so much easier than I was expecting. Ben Bowdalis, someone that was out in that 24-hour live stream for a while, says 12-team PPR, 2 wide receivers and a flex. We got Jalen Hurts, CMC, Swift, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts. Should have flexed Godwin or Pollard. Also, any trade suggestions? Love the team. I am trying to avoid playing Godwin week 1 where we can. But in reality, with this build in particular, I think you probably have to flex Godwin. And in regards to trade suggestions, no. This is better than any team I've ever drafted in my entire life. I don't know how I would recommend you to make a trade with that. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and take Hayden Hurst here, 189. Of course, we need to take 3 tight ends in a best ball format when we wait, as long as we did to grab Robert Tonyan as our first guy. So Baker Mayfield goes off the board. What was the report with Isaiah Likely? Practices in full. Okay, Spiller was a full participant in Wednesday's practice. He missed some time with an ankle injury during training camp, but is trending towards being healthy enough to play in week 1. I'm Melvin, a longtime member of the flock, says, are we worried about Robinson hurting Travis Etienne? I'm worried about Robinson having the red zone role and taking that away from Etienne. I used to be drafting Travis Etienne aggressively at the 3-4 turn. I'll still take him. He falls to us like towards the middle of the 4th, but we're not taking Travis Etienne where we used to. Okay. So I'm not going to lie. I usually prefer like Logan Thomas over these tight ends at the very top. But if we're going to get Austin Hooper falling all the way down to us here, 10 picks past his ADP, even though I haven't drafted as much Austin Hooper as we have Logan Thomas, let's go ahead. Let's take Austin Hooper. I mean, he's a tight end that can draw targets. Maybe he falls in the end zone a couple times this year when we need him to. So let's go ahead, take him as our 3rd tight end. And then it looks like we already passed 900 likes on the stream. So let me go through and show off this draft board. And we're going to take either one more receiver or one more running back, depending on the value that makes it back to us in the 18th round. I don't exactly know what we should expect to make it back, but we'll go one more running back or one more receiver. Let's show this off real quick. Okay. And then the next draft we're going to get in, I can't do another $250 one. We will just hop into a $5 draft here on Underdog. And looks like there are 5 people in this. And of course, if you want to get in drafts on Underdog, they do these during the season. They do them during the off season. They're best ball, so that means you don't submit your starting lineup. It's automatically done for you at the end of every single week. So there's no time commitment at all during the year. Not replacing your main fantasy football league with this. It's just a place to get in an extra draft and have some fun because there's no time commitment during the season. So I'm able to draft over 700. Go sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. You'll get a 100% deposit match. You'll get our 2022 rankings, our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, which will help you if you've already had your draft. And also, they have pick'ems as well. So you can go check out some of these pick'ems that they have. Like here's what they have for Buffalo tomorrow. Obviously, they just have a ton of these bad boys. But let's go back to this draft. I believe we just pulled the 111. Yeah, we're at the 111. Easy Eddie, a long time member of the vlog. Says, hey Mason, draft in. It's a 12-team league. We are pick 11. Kyler Winston at quarterback. At running back, we have Alvin Kamara, A.J. Dillon, Damian Pierce, Ramondre Stevenson, Darrell Henderson, Isaiah Pacheco. Wide receiver, we have DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Adam Thielen, Tyler Boyd, Treylon Burks. We have the elite level tight end with Travis Kelce. We have Isaiah Likely as well. Free agents are currently Jameson Williams, Khalil Herbert, and Jahan Dotson. So if we could pick up Jameson Williams and then throw him on our IR, we do that in a heartbeat. Now, if Jameson Williams wouldn't be able to be on your IR in your league in particular, we can't waste a roster spot on him waiting for him to come back. It is going to take a very long time for that to actually happen, but we're definitely going to make some cuts here. We cut Jameis Winston in the league where we have Kyler Murray. You're never going to be playing Winston over Kyler regardless. I think that we go through and we look to pick up Jahan Dotson. If we're looking at also the tight end position, when you have Travis Kelce, there's no reason to roster a backup tight end either. Go ahead, drop Isaiah Likely, and pick up Khalil Herbert as well, just in case there were to be an injury to David Montgomery, and all of a sudden you possibly have a league-winning running back on your hands. Okay. So we are 4 picks away in that other draft. Are we getting it? Okay, so we have Jefferson going 1, Chase going 3 here. CMC falling to pick 4. Usually you have CMC going off at 1, as we've seen. Lego Batman says it was just offered a trade. We have Mahomes and Barkley for Josh Allen, Najee Harris. I've got Allen and Najee. What are your thoughts? 12-team PPR, appreciate you. No, thank you so much, my man. I would rather have Josh Allen over Mahomes, and I would rather have Najee Harris over Saquon Barkley. So to be honest with you, I'm going to decline that trade easily. Keep Allen and Najee Harris. And in that other draft, we just got Isaiah Spiller as our last pick at pick 213. That last draft was the one that wins it. Oh my gosh. Man, welcome. Now says, who should I start between Allen Robinson, Ayuk, Lockett, and Moore? If this is DJ Moore, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start Allen Robinson, DJ Moore. If this is Rondell Moore, I'm going to start Allen Robinson, Brandon Ayuk. Now let's move this over. Najee Harris goes at 9. We may end up getting Dalvin falling to us at 11 here. If not, we'll take Devontae Adams and then just see who else we get. Okay, Jimmy's on the clock. Jimmy's is, of course, a member of the flock out here in a ton of drafts with us. Takes it down, goes Dalvin. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get Devontae Adams in the first here. Let's see what we get on the way back around. J Swole. Like the name. Like the name. On the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. You go Joe Mixon at 12. What else are they doing? Okay, they go Barkley. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take CeeDee Lamb. I think this is going to be a unique build. And, of course, on Underdog, as we've seen. Guys, I'm addicted to drafting 6th round David Montgomery, 6th round J.K. Dobbins. I want to take that mid-round running back value. We're going to get Cam Akers falling to us at pick 62. If we want to take that mid-round running back value, we kind of have to eat our vegetables here. We have to take the wide receivers. Of course, this because we're drafting on Underdog. If you're in your casual redraft format, I mean, shallow redraft league, I go Mixon, Kelsey. On Underdog, where it's best ball and you have to start 3 wide receivers, I think we go Adams and Lamb so we can hammer in those mid-round running backs. And Michael says, I've been loving the streams, man. Rate my 12-team PPR. Feel like we went a little too running back heavy. We have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. At running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, James Conner, Nick Chubb, A.J. Dillon. Wide receiver, we have Hollywood, Lockett, Lazard. And at tight end, we have Gerald Everett. Okay, yeah, so definitely your running back room is going to be the strongest here. So I'm assuming JT pick 1. Then we had Nick Chubb in the second. I'm not a massive fan of what we decided to do to go ahead and grab James Conner in the 3rd. What would be very interesting is if we could make a play like... It's hard because we don't have a lot of wide receiver depth. We do have the Rodgers and Lazard stack. I think the team is good if Lazard breaks out. Now, personally, I'm letting you know, I'm not a massive Lazard guy. I've not drafted a lot of Allen Lazard this year. I think there's an outside chance that it is Christian Watson. I think there's an outside chance that it is Romeo Doubs as the wide receiver 1 here in Green Bay. I don't think Lazard's a special player. But if Lazard does become the wide receiver 1 here for Aaron Rodgers, you have Rodgers on the same build. You're elite at running back. We roster 2 tight ends specifically. That way we can try to find the upside at the tight end position. I think it's a strong team. But we definitely need that Allen Lazard breakout. I think a lot hinges on that. Okay, so Justin Herbert off the board here, 23. Very interesting to see Justin Herbert off the board, 23. They go Chubb as well. I mean, there are a lot of drafts that we've had Justin Herbert making it to us like the beginning of the 5th round here. Tyreek goes 27. Yeah, this is where we took Tyreek last draft. I mean, we were drafting at 3 and we ended up going, I believe... No, we were drafting at 4 and we went Cup, Debo, Tyreek. Pitts falls to 29. You have Josh Allen going a little early here as well. So you have quarterbacks going up the board across the way. Evans falls to 30. Back-to-back drafts where you have Mike Evans falling. T. Higgins falling as well. Mike Evans, guys, if you don't know, a couple months ago in these underdog drafts, Mike Evans would go at the end of the 1st round. Mike Evans would legitimately go at the end of the 1st. Keenan goes. We're going to try something. I really liked how that last draft went. If we look at this team behind us, J Swole has Mixon and Barkley. I don't necessarily know if they can go running backs. Eric says T. Higgins or Keenan Allen. they're in the same tier for me. I think if you're playing in like a half PPR format, non-PPR format, where touchdowns matter a little more, we go T. Higgins. If you're playing in a full PPR, we go Keenan Allen just for the raw amount of volume he'll have. Now, Hoster Strudel coming out says, should I trade Javonte Lamb for Jefferson and Hall? My running back one is a CMC. Honestly, no. I think that if you're looking at the excitement with CeeDee Lamb here, it's going to be hard to make this deal. Maybe if we can buy Breece Hall at a cheaper price after the first few weeks, if Michael Carter does actually have a large role, then that would be something we're looking to do. Okay. We're going to try something new. This is a large field tournament. Let's go ahead. Let's try Sutton Judy here. See if we can get Russell Wilson at a value. And Vlog Country, let's fly. Vlog Country, let's fly. Vlog Country. Yeah. Vlog Country, let's ride. Come on. We got to bring in some of these double stacks here for Denver. There were a lot of teams doing this at the beginning of the offseason, and when they were, I hated it, and I said on the live stream how bad it was. But that was when Tim Patrick was healthy. I think with Tim Patrick being gone, it's a more viable strategy. It's not necessarily ideal. Like from a median projection standpoint, James Conner's definitely the pick. But from a top 1 percentile outcome standpoint, I think that we can kind of force some things here. Okay. And now we have Jay coming out and says, how much money do you have in underdog drafts? At least $5. At least 5. Now, Omar coming out and says, should I trade? Should I make this trade? We're getting DeAndre Swift, and we're giving away Rashad Bateman, Cordell Patterson in the Superflex League. 100%, go get the best player of the deal. I mean, that's what we're looking to do 9 times out of 10 in trades at this point of the year, knowing that we're going to have a lot of options that we want off the waiver wire. Now, again, says 10-team full PPR, no backup tight ends. Have Higgins, DJ Moore, Gabriel Davis, Lazard, Lockett. Should I trade Mark Andrews and Gabriel Davis for Diggs and Edmonds? No, please. In a 10-team shallow format, we're keeping Mark Andrews. I love having the elite level tight end in that league in particular. Okay. Now, Matthew Everything Gaming says, traded Zeke and Lazard for DeAndre Swift. What do you think? I love it, but I'm not a Lazard guy. I like it, but I'm not a massive Lazard fan. I'll say there are people that are a lot smarter than me that think Allen Lazard can be a top 12 wide receiver this year. And Rodgers has supported a decent amount of wide receiver ones. We went through and we counted how many wide receiver one seasons Aaron Rodgers has put up throughout his entire NFL career. And it is about 1 for 1 with how many seasons he's played. There were like 2-3 years that he didn't support a wide receiver one in fantasy. But at the same time, there were like 2 or 3 years that he supported multiple wide receiver ones in fantasy. So it's never a bet we feel super confident in, but I have been willing to go ahead and bet against Allen Lazard this season. I think it's a great deal. And now Space Ghost says, in a 10-team PPR keeper league, we have Josh Allen at quarterback. Running back, we have Dalvin, Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall. We have Gabriel Davis, Brandon Cooks, Monroe St. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and Darius Toney. Okay, great. We have Andrews and Hawkinson at tight end. I think it's a very strong team. I think if we can go through, if we can look to move Hawkinson with one of these wide receivers to get an upgrade, that's going to be fantastic. Andrews, obviously, someone we're looking to start every single week. You have elite level running backs. We have the quarterback 1 in fantasy. Great squad. I mean, you already know it. I'm wasting your time saying it, but I think we just look to move Hawkinson in a package with a wide receiver for a wide receiver upgrade. Now, Alberto says, start Jacobs or Gabriel Davis in the flex spot in week 1 in a full PPR format. If it was like non-PPR, honestly, I probably would go ahead and say Jacobs. And deep down, when I've drafted so much more Jacobs this year than I've drafted Gabriel Davis, I want to tell you Jacobs. In reality, no. Yeah, go ahead. You want to play Gabriel Davis. I mean, it's going to be a very high score. What the heck? There's no way. I wish I didn't even see it. I wish I didn't even see it. I didn't even tease myself with it. Absolutely absurd that Waddle fell to pick 56 behind Brandon Cooks. He was a wide receiver one as a rookie last year. Oh my gosh. Great value with Jalen Waddle. I was really hoping we got him. Taco coming out says, I took your advice on trading Brady for a better running back too. Got Javonte Williams for him and DeAndre Hopkins. My question is, who do I flex week 1 at 12-team PPR league? Drake London, Damian Pierce, Isaiah McKenzie, or Landry. You're the man. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. Maybe you traded Brady and DeAndre Hopkins for Javonte. Regardless, great deal. I think if we're looking at, okay, real quick, what we have to do here, I don't like it. I think we have to take Bateman. I prefer Montgomery over Bateman. I prefer Dobbins over Bateman. But if we're looking at how the ADPs shape up, there are going to be very few teams in this tournament style contest that are getting the Bateman Kittle value here. So let's go ahead. Let's take them. And then we're going to just pray that we get running backs like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Josh Jacobs, making it to us at 83 and 86. And based on underdog ADP, they should. But great deal. And here, I'm trying to avoid starting rookie wide receivers where we can. I love the upside of Drake London rest of season. But week 1, Damian Pierce starting running back. I mean, we have to go through. We have to take Damian Pierce. Now we have Joe says, how many touchdowns do you think CeeDee Lamb will have? I mean, obviously, it should be a super high scoring offense in Dallas. They put up the most points in the NFL last year. I don't necessarily think that they repeat that, but I think that based on their pace of play, they're probably a safe bet to be a top 5 overall offense. I think Lamb could have 9, 10, 11 touchdowns. I mean, could have more than that. I think realistically, maybe 9. Max says, actually, no, that's not even realistically. If we had to make a bet, like what's most likely to happen, probably 8. And Max says, Kareem Hunt, Michael Thomas for Leonard Fournette. Yeah, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Fournette. 9 times out of 10 on September 7th, when we make trades, we want to be the team getting the best player because we're going to be able to go to the waiver wire after week 1 and pick up someone great with that empty, not great, but someone exciting with that empty roster spot. But Nick says, need a wide receiver from the waiver wire in a half PPR format. We got Hamler, Curtis Samuel, Paris Campbell, or Isaiah McKenzie. I have Gabriel Davis. I don't really care about having Gabriel Davis. It's definitely between Isaiah McKenzie and KJ Hamler. I think most smart people would tell you Isaiah McKenzie. I'm a Hamler fan. In full transparency, we have 1 jersey hanging up in this office right now. I just moved back to Austin, so we have some other jerseys in the closet frame that need to get hung up. But the 1 jersey we have hanging up in this office is of our guy, KJ Hamler. So I'm definitely a Hamler fan. I'm definitely a little bit biased here, but I would like to go ahead and pick him up. Okay. What happened? It says Dillon or Pierce in the flex. I think we're going to go ahead. We are going to be putting A.J. Dillon over Damian Pierce. Like, let me pull up my rankings for this week. Yeah, I had A.J. Dillon running back 24, Damian Pierce running back 28, but we have A.J. Dillon a tier above. Brandon says, when Amari Cooper was with Carr, he had no problem throwing 20 times a game to him. More to Adams. I mean, we draft Adams here. I want to root for that, but I have an Amari Cooper. Speaking of framed jerseys, I have an Amari Cooper framed Raiders jersey. I was a massive Amari fan when he was in, not Las Vegas, when he was in Oakland. But I don't remember it going down that way. Let me pull up Amari Cooper. I remember Amari Cooper splitting with Crabtree early on in his career when he was in Oakland. Yeah, Amari Cooper, the most targets he ever had on a per-game basis. I know you were exaggerating here, obviously, but the most targets he ever had on a per-game basis was 8. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it makes that big of a difference. But I don't want to come out here and just act like Derek Carr always locks in on his wide receiver 1, regardless of who it is. Okay. Now DeAndre Hopkins goes 77. TJ School says a full PPR 6th pick. We got Kamara, CMC, Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, AJ Brown, Dalton Schultz, Dak, and Lance. Thoughts on the lineup? Okay, so we have 3 elite running backs, a couple wide receivers that could be top 10 guys, a very strong tight end. The guy was tight end 5 last year on a points per game basis, in a better situation now this year. Great team. I think that eventually we do look to trade one of the quarterbacks, but what's probably going to have to happen is you're going to have to wait until your league mates see how many points Lance is going to put up, and then we could go ahead and trade Lance. I probably would want to keep Dak out of the 2, even though I have Lance ranked higher, because we have Dalton Schultz. Space Ghost says Michael Thomas or DJ Moore in the flex. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play DJ Moore. Love the upside we have rest of season with Michael Thomas, but let's see it before we actually just jam him in. And what happened and said, can you explain Pierce is a starter and AJ Dillon is a backup? I think that there are going to be significantly, and I repeat, significantly more points scored in Green Bay than there will be in Houston. JB says half point PPR, Bateman or Pierce week 1. Thanks. Thank you. Tough one. I'm probably going to go ahead. I'm going to take Dameon Pierce. I know Bateman has his fan club. I know there are a million people who love Rashad Bateman. At the same time, I mean, Dameon Pierce is a starting running back in Houston. We don't necessarily know if you are going to have this team incentivized to actually go out there and throw the ball against the Jets. I'd imagine that the Ravens are able to just run it over and over again. Okay, now let's see what Jay Swoll decides to do. Obviously, we're taking Russell Wilson here. I mean, we took Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton early on so we could get the double stack with Russ. We have Kittle on this team as well. Okay, so Jay Swoll goes Dallas Goedert. And we just passed 1,000 likes in the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there, dropping a like on the stream. And we're going to take Josh Jacobs. We're going to take our guy here in the 8th round. Hate that we become the Josh Jacobs guy, but when he falls to the 8th round, when he's like literally a month older than Najee Harris, I'll go ahead. I will become the Josh Jacobs guy. Now, Gama says in a 10-team PPR league, pick 2, we have Burrow, quarterback. Running back, we have CMC Swift. Wide receivers, we have Lamb, Sutton, Schultz, Juju. And then on the bench, we have DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Dillon, Breece Hall, Chase Edmonds, Garrett Wilson. Love what we're doing on the bench in that we're going through and just looking at the highest ceiling possible when it comes to our players. We're not wasting roster spots and guys like Marvin Jones that maybe have a high median projection, but in reality, what's the real ceiling there? Like, I would much prefer having someone like Garrett Wilson than KJ Osborne. I mean, in terms of actually making moves on a roster where we have Burrow, I'd really love to have either Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. I feel like the easy trade is to go through and try to package together Sutton and then one of these bench assets and go get T. Higgins. Or if we can trade like Sutton and AJ Dillon and get Jamar Chase, I'd really like that as well in a 10-team league. Okay. Now we have Tom Brady 91 here. Dak goes 92. Dak would have been someone we would have taken on the way back around. Sometimes Dak has been falling as far as 107. At least over the past, I want to say week, but in reality, maybe it's only been like 3 days. It just seems like week because we got in 50 drafts in that 24-hour span. Okay. Now we have Dawson Knox off the board at 94 here. David Njoku goes 95 as well. So is this the same team that took Herbert earlier on? Yeah, this team, it's weird. Like, they make a lot of picks that make sense, but then they just go off the wall for some of these. Yeah, Herbert 23 and David Njoku 95 now. Like Njoku before TJ Hawkinson. Probably the first time I've seen it. Smooth this down. Yeah, Dameon Pierce here went at the 4-5 turn. So Dameon Pierce still going early. Cousins 97. What is going on? We're going to get some values falling to us. Kaepernick says full PPR, Henry and Juju or Connor and Debo. I think we probably prefer Henry and Juju. 9 times out of 10, September 7th, we're just taking the best player in the deal. And Henry's easily the best player in the deal. Rodgers goes 99. So these quarterbacks are going early. I mean, we have Russ, so it's not the end of the world when we see these quarterbacks going early. Let's bring this back around. Damian Harris off the board at 101. We had Mahomes falling a decent amount as well. So it looks like now when you see Sky Moore and MVS falling, maybe this is an overall draft room that's not a big fan of what we have with the Kansas City Chiefs players. Lockett goes 103. Yeah, Lockett going before Sky Moore here. Nobody likes the Chiefs. Jimmy's took Mahomes, so I'd imagine Jimmy's decides to go through and grab Sky Moore or MVS if they fall. The recovery, a long time. Remember the Flocks is a flock. I had my ESPN draft last night. We had Dak at quarterback, running back. We had CMC, Javonte, wide receiver, Mike Williams, Gabriel Davis, tight end, Waller. And then we have Swift in the flex, ETN on the bench. Stevenson, Waddle, Thielen, Kmet, and Burks. What do you think? I think this is a fantastic team. I will be honest, I don't see why we're rostering Cole Kmet, especially in a 10-team format. But we have CMC as possibly the running back 1 overall. Javonte Swift. So 2 other... 1 second. Yeah, so 2 other top 10 RBs. I really like this team. I'm trying to think, what could we do to make it better? If we could trade like one of these bench players like Ramondre Stevenson or Jalen Waddle with Dak Prescott to get an elite level quarterback in here that correlates with this team, like to either get Josh Allen in the case of a Dak and Waddle trade, and we get Allen obviously running laps around Dak with fantasy points and correlating with Gabriel Davis. I think that make a lot of sense. Or maybe like Stevenson and Dak can go get Justin Herbert if we can do that with Mike Williams. Really like either one of those ideas. Also, we can move Cole Kmet. They throw him in the deal for free. We don't even want him on the team. But love the roster overall. We go Miles Sanders, 107. So going and looking at those 2019 running backs. I hate to do this, but I feel like if we take Robert Woods here, nobody else is going to have him at this price. I feel like it's a very unique pick to go Robert Woods. So far, we are loaded up a receiver. We have Adams, Lamb, Sutton, Judy, Bateman, Robert Woods. We have the double stack with Sutton, Judy, and Wilson. We have the elite tight end with Kittle. And our running backs, yes, are of course gross, but hopefully we can go RB here at the turn at 131, 134, and come away with some respectable guys. We have Jacobs and Sanders right now. The recovery says drafted Kmet in case of Waller's injury, just in case. Yeah, I guess maybe you want to wait until we see Waller week 1. But based on what I'm reading, that Waller's back at practice and all is good. At least last I checked. But if you want to wait to see week 1, no worries. Tico says, I am miles away from being there on Miles. With Miles Sanders, I think that he is the favorite to lead the Philadelphia Eagles backfields in touches. Should be playing in one of the better run offenses in the NFL. Behind a top 3 offensive line in the NFL. If he just gets the same workload he had last year, but gets a little luckier with touchdowns, I think he is an exciting player. Okay. So now Singletary off the board, 116. Kenneth Walker goes 117. Yeah, Walker would have been nice to have him back around at 131, which he has been falling to 131 in some of these drafts. But yeah, if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. There's a small chance that we hit 95,000 subscribers before the season starts. I thought there was a 0% chance that we were hitting 90,000, and we may be hitting 95,000 subs before the season starts and 100,000 before week 2 kickoff. Of course, thank you so much, everyone. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. Ryan says he just got Treylon Burks at 126. You're embarrassing yourself here, man. You're embarrassing yourself. You're admitting to not taking Treylon Burks in the 10th round. You let him fall to the 11th. You should have taken him in the 10th, okay? I've never gotten Treylon Burks that late because if Burks is sitting there at 116, we take him at 116. Adam says Chase Edmonds is a sleeper. I mean, yeah, I think Chase Edmonds could go out there and he could be a running back 1 in fantasy given in a PPR format, given his role as a receiver. And there's an outside chance that he is a 3-down player here. I mean, he was definitely a very strong value in these drafts. He used to go in the double-digit rounds of these drafts, past pick 100. But now he goes like, what? He went pick 72 here? It's a little bit harder to get that excited about the Chase Edmonds value. I think people have kind of fixed it. Okay, but now let's see what we're going to get. So we have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 6 receivers, and a tight ends. Freaking this team taking James Cook 127 from us. No, this was not the team that got Jalen Waddle. They took Cooks over Waddle. This was the team that got Jalen Waddle pick 56. They go Henderson here, 128 as well. I mean, it would have been beautiful for us to get Henderson. Cole Hardman off the board. Is Julio Jones going to fall to us here? And do we take Julio and leave it at receiver and be done after that? I think we go Julio as our 7th receiver, and then we're done. Let's see what Jimmy's does. Taking down to the very last second. Goes Julio, so never mind. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get Naheem Hines here. Obviously, we're desperate for running back touches. We are straight up desperate for running back touches. I think that Hines, not necessarily exciting in a regular league when you have to try to figure out when to start him, but in best ball, when he can just randomly spike into our starting lineup whenever he does have that game with 6 receptions for 50 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown, then I think that is exciting. Dominic says, Mason, do you answer any Dynasty questions on the channel? Of course I'll answer Dynasty questions on the channel. I mean, it's not our Dynasty channel, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. We told ourselves we were going running back, running back. Do we stick to the plan or do we take a receiver value? Tallahassee. What the heck? I just really like the Garrett Wilson value. The issue is, you know what? I like the Garrett Wilson value, but if you look at who we would have later on, it would be disgusting. Like the the running backs later on, I think after this tier of guys are pretty bad. So let's go ahead. Let's take Michael Carter. Let's take someone that should be able to catch passes at the beginning of the year. And if an injury were to occur to Breece Hall later on, he does have the handcuff appeal where he can step into a 3-down role. But Shane coming out with a massive donation. Thank you, my man. I don't see a question. Let me search your name, see if there's a question in the chat. Thank you so much. Jahan Dotson goes by Jimmy's here. Brian Robinson, 136. Shane says, hey, Mason, glad your sleep schedule's on track. In a 10-team PPR league, we have at quarterback Dak Prescott. At running back, we have Joe Mixon, Breece Hall, Chase Edmonds, A.J. Dillon, Kenneth Walker, Brian Robinson. Wide receiver, we have Chase, Lamb, Waddle, Sutton, Garrett Wilson. Okay, thank God. We had the elite level tight end with Kyle Pitts. Really like the team. There's not too much that we can talk about. I mean, you have Dak stacked up with Lamb. You have another elite level wide receiver with Chase. You have running backs with upside, Mixon, Hall, Edmonds, Dillon. It's a great team. You have the elite level tight end with Pitts. Literally, it's probably a better team than I've ever drafted. What am I supposed to say? Jayan out here says, Bama week, Mason. Jayan, I need you to be serious here. I want everybody's opinion on this. If you had to put it in a percentage chance that the Texas Longhorns beat Alabama on Saturday, what are the odds? What are the odds? Shane coming out with another donation. I found your question in the general chat. I read the team off, my friend. As I said previously, I think it's an absurd roster. I think that you have so much depth at wide receiver with guys like Sutton is your wide receiver 4 that you could maybe go ahead and package with someone like Kenneth Walker and get an upgrade there. In a 10-team league, obviously, there'd be strong options off the waiver wire for us to pick up as well. It's a better team than I've ever drafted. I don't exactly know what I can say. Okay, Jayan says 10%. Okay, we have 1%. Ricky out here going with the bold take, 40% chance, close to a coin flip. 18, 5, 5, 5, 1, -4. 3%, 20%, 2%, 20, 11.5. I think Mark hit the nail with the hammer on the nose. I don't know what it's called. I think you got the. I think you got it about right. 11.5%. That sounds strong. Adam says Tyreek Hill isn't getting it done with Tua. Yes. I've said this all offseason. Like, I completely understand. Like, any smart person's making the argument, okay, Tua Tagovailoa is a bad quarterback. He can't support 2 wide receiver ones in fantasy. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle aren't going to work out. But at the end of the day, like, everybody is saying that. So it's baked into the price. Like, in the last draft, we got Tyreek Hill at the 304. Jalen Waddle here falls to. He doesn't fall here in every draft because usually I take him in the 4th round. But Jalen Waddle in this draft fell to 56. So because that's what everybody's thinking, in reality, I'm actually going through and I'm drafting some of these Miami Dolphins receivers. I'm definitely drafting way more Jalen Waddle than I am Tyreek Hill, though. But if, like, Waddle falls to us, like, to the 304 in a league like this where we need to be incentivizing wide receivers early, then, yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll take him. We have a run on running backs here, not helping us out a bit. Let's swing this over. Nico Collins goes 151. Okay, Russell Gage falling a decent amount here. Lawrence goes. Jimmy's has 8 receivers, 2 running backs. Yeah, I think Jimmy's, there's no way he can go Gage, right? He goes Gage as his 9th receiver. Dear God. We're to take Albert O. Like, we're all in on Denver here. We have Lamb, Judy, Russ, and now Albert O. But I am so surprised to see Jimmy's go with this 9th receiver. Oh, my gosh. Y'all know I have not been drafting Isaiah Pacheco this year. I've not been taking Isaiah Pacheco this year, but I feel like a hypocrite because I was taking Ronald Jones at his ADP, and I was saying out loud, I don't think he's a good running back, but it doesn't matter when he's playing with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and he could get touches. So I was fine taking him there in a best ball format. So do we have to do the same thing here with Isaiah Pacheco? Who are you taking? Please spam the chat right now. Obviously, we need running backs. Do you think we should wait for running backs later on? At RB right now, we have Jacobs, Sanders, Hines, Carter. At wide receiver, we are loaded up. We have Adams, Lamb, Sutton, Judy, Bateman, Woods. Honestly, I kind of feel like going Myers unless we have a million people about to tell us Pacheco. And I have not seen a single message yet, so you are a little late. I think we go Jacoby Myers. And we are done at wide receiver. And we just take 7 running backs with this build. Yeah, I think we go 2 QBs, 7 running backs, 7 receivers. I don't know. Also, I think these wide receivers may slide up boards because we're looking at Jimmy's out here with 9 of them. So I haven't had a good look at every other roster. But if he takes 9 through the first 13 rounds, I'd imagine that we're about to see a flood of receivers after. Okay. So now at this point, clearly we're either going 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, or 3 running backs, 1 quarterback, depending on the value that falls to us at running back. I think obviously we'll know who we're going to be looking at quarterback no matter what. It just all comes down to what kind of value are we going to be getting at RB later on, because these guys will dry up. Jamal Williams off the board. Jamal Williams would have been so nice to have on the way back around 179. Snack says, what app is this draft on? This is on Underdog. Go sign up for Underdog. These are best ball drafts, so that means you don't submit your starting lineup during the year. So there's no time commitment at all during the season. Not going to replace your main fantasy football league because your best starting lineups automatically submitted for you at the end of every single week. It's just a spot for you to get in some extra fantasy football drafts. And of course, if you go sign up with promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. We'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. We'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. And they also have player props available every single week. Here's some of them that they have for Thursday. Well, let's get back to this draft. But yeah, so Underdog has a lot. I'm sure that you've heard all about Underdog unless you've literally been living under a rock. Okay. Zamir White goes 168. It would have been nice to have Zamir White on the way back around. What's the report on McKissick? Not listed on injury report. Move this up. We're really hoping we get some wide receivers off the board here and tight ends. We're not taking another tight end. I don't think we take another receiver either. Robbie says, hey, Mason, who would you start? Would you start any of these guys over Godwin this week? I have Tony, or I could pick up Landry, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore, Burks, or Watson. Tony would be the only guy. We're not starting any of those waiver wire options over Godwin. Godwin, the thing is, he has such a good matchup going up against Dallas where this should be a high-scoring contest. This could very easily be a shootout. I think we play Godwin if he plays. Let me know in the chat right now. Everybody spam the chat with this answer. I don't know. I've drafted a lot of Godwin. A lot of Godwin. I was taking him everywhere when people were saying he was going to miss 1 to 2 months this season. I thought that was ridiculous, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm starting in week 1. I'd rather not if we don't have to. So go spam the chat. Would you rather start Godwin or Tony this week? Rag says, most likely to end up as a tight end 1, Ingram, Fant, likely Tunyon, or Logan Thomas. Robert Tunyon, in my opinion. I think you have the most touchdown upside in Green Bay. We've seen it before, and the situation's better than what it was in 2020 when no Devontae Adams there. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people saying Godwin. We have a couple Tonys. It's tough. I don't want to do it, but I feel like you may have to. Jimmy snipes us on McKissick, so we're going to have to go ahead. We're going to have to take Jerick McKinnon here as our 5th running back, hoping that he has a passing down role in Kansas City. Mark Ingram goes 180. Thing is, the running backs later on are just so gross. So gross. So Jason Will has 6 RBs. I don't know if he's going to go with another. It goes Isaiah Spiller. Very surprising. I think he goes Isaiah Spiller. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jeff Wilson just because there are not going to be enough of these guys on the way back around. Let's go ahead. Let's take Jeff Wilson, see if he's actually the running back 2 here in San Francisco. And I think we can go and take 2 quarterbacks at the end of this bad boy. And we are about to pass 1,100 likes on the stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there and drop a like in the live stream. And now Kevin says 12-team standard big money league. At quarterback, we have Patrick Mahomes. At running back, we have CMC, DeAndre Swift, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders. At wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, McCole Hardman, Hunter Henry, and then we have to have a 1 flex spot. Should I trade for a tight end? If we could trade like Jacobs and Hunter Henry and we could get back someone like Darren Waller, George Kittle, 100% we make that move. In reality, I don't know if you're going to be able to. I hope you have a better wide receiver, to be honest, than McCole Hardman as your wide receiver 3. It's very hard. We can't trade any wide receiver depth here if McCole Hardman's your wide receiver 3. Yeah, so people in the chat saying that Kittle has a groin injury. Yeah, so Kittle had that groin injury. We looked at that earlier on. So we were saying you definitely need to bump up Ayuk or Debo if Kittle's not playing. Okay, so Zay Jones, 176. Daniel Jones still available. I don't know the last time we saw Daniel Jones fall this far. I mean, Daniel Jones falling behind Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield. I'm fine drafting Daniel Jones because he has some rushing upside. Okay, Galladay off the board. Mariota goes. Daniel Jones still available, right? Yeah, Daniel Jones, Mac Jones still available. Daniel Jones finally off. That was a team with Aaron Rodgers and Fields at quarterback. I honestly may go Daniel Jones as the third guy there. If we had those two options. Okay, let's move this over. Okay, so we have a run on wide receivers here at the end, which obviously is going to help us when we're not drafting any more receivers. Lightning says, just finished a 12-team half a PPR format. With one flex spot, we have CMC. Okay. CMC, Andrews, Pitts, Lamar, Waddle, Hollywood, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Melvin Gordon, London. This is a ridiculous team. First off, drop Jameis Winston. You're never starting Jameis Winston with Lamar Jackson. I'd imagine that maybe what happened is you got Andrews early and then your league mates like really disrespected Kyle Pitts and Kyle Pitts fell to you in like the 4th, 5th round and you grabbed them. So if your league mates aren't Kyle Pitts believers, what you're probably going to have to wait to do is you're going to have to wait until Kyle Pitts puts up a lot of production at the beginning of the year, which he probably is going to. And then we look to go ahead and move Kyle Pitts. I don't even know what would we need? And maybe how about this? If Hollywood starts extremely hot with no DeAndre Hopkins, with an injured Zach Ertz, with an injured Rondale Moore, like if we can trade like Pitts and Hollywood if he starts hot and get back a truly elite, and I repeat, elite level receiver, one of those top 3 guys, maybe that'd be appealing. In reality, I don't even know what we could do with this team. We're eventually looking to trade Kyle Pitts. I don't know what the return we are going to get is. A great spot to be in regardless. And here we're going to take Robert Woods. I mean, we have Robert Woods and Myers. So we're going to take either Mac Jones or Tannehill, whoever fell. So Mac Jones falls. So we're going to stack him up with Jacoby Myers here. And I think we could go any different way. I mean, we're kind of all in on Denver. So Russ has to come through for us if this team's going to be good regardless. Josh Sherman says, in a redraft 12-team at PPR 102 spot, we have Herbert at quarterback. At running back, we have CMC, Travis Etienne, Ramadre, James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, Deontay Johnson, Ayuk, Burks, Gallup. Not the best I felt after this draft. I think it will be good, but we have to wait until the later of the year because you're not going to have James Cook breaking out early. You're not going to have Burks breaking out early. Gallup's not going to be ready at the beginning portion of the season. So I think it's a strong team, but definitely, I think it will be difficult to get by at the very beginning of the year. I was planning on going 3 quarterbacks, and I was not planning on taking another receiver, but having David Bell in the 18th round, David Bell, one of my most drafted players. So let's go ahead. Let's recap this draft. Probably not good enough to get it done at running back, but regardless, we'll try. We'll try. Manuel says, should I trade Ayuk, Stevenson for Hawkinson? No. I think you can get a better tight end than that. But real quick, actually, before we go, let's look at some of these pick'ems to see if there's anything that's changed. So we made a bet yesterday on the live stream. The one pick'em that we have made this year, outside of Underdog, will occasionally give you like freebies pick'ems. Like it seems like every other week they'll have a line out there like Cooper Kupp, half a receiving yard, and they do that across sports. So other than the freebies, the only bet that we've actually made since the Super Bowl was the Deebo Samuel over 50 receiving yards, and we just correlated it with a couple different pieces. Let's see where Debo's at now. Yeah, no, he's still at 51.5 receiving yards. If y'all are worried about Kittle missing, like if Kittle plays, I don't think these are great lines, but if Kittle misses, hit an over 3.5 receptions for Ayuk, 51.5 receiving yards for I think that would be interesting. But of course, if you want to get in these drafts with us at any point, we're going to be doing this during the season. If you want to go check out those player props, it's on Underdog. You can find the link in the live chat. You can find the link in the description of the video. But I think that's all I got for you. Again, I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. I hope you have a great night. And I really hope I get to see you tomorrow. Have some fun tomorrow, though. Go out, go enjoy the game. And yeah, I'll see you after